Hello and welcome to Book 3's Dark Future Dissection. My name is Sloan.
I'm Lindsay.
And I'm Titus.
Okay, so if you are a regular fan and have listened to the other dissections, you know what it's about. We're going to talk about the previous book and answer your questions, but this one's a bit different because we're talking about not just the previous book, but the previous two books.
All of that arc.
The whole series of Barb and DP's adventures. Y'all have sent in your questions. Thank you so much. There's been so many great questions that you sent in, so we'll be trying to get to those pretty quickly. Before we get to that, I'd like to thank our Patreon producers, Ether Sphinx, Zetz, Alec Trupiano, Seraphend, and Myrrh.
Sheriff Fiend.
Is that how you say it?
Yeah.
Sherifiend. Say it again.
Sherifiend.
Sheriffend?
Sheriff.
Sheriffend.
Oh, well, so you correct me, but you don't even know.
It is Sheriffend. I'm sorry.
Sheriffend. Thank you all so much. And also thank you to R.Talsorian Games for making Cyberpunk Red and Cyberpunk 2020. Two games that we've covered during this series.
We started in 2020.
That's right.
And we moved to Red.
Okay, so we're going to start off with just talking a bit to each other about how we feel about Book 3 and the series as a whole.
It's open circle discussion.
We'll get to
Get
all your questions.
Air your grievances.
But I guess
Yeah.
before we do that, I do want to address one thing. This was a question that has been coming up, and that is that we just definitively are saying right here that the story of Barb and DP is over. We will be continuing the podcast, but we'll be doing it with new characters and different stories, you know. So that question did come up a few times, and I think it's important to just get that one out of the way. That we wanted to move on to new characters and new storylines, and so that's what we're doing. So we're putting it all to rest here, and we're going to go through and talk about our favorite. Someone knock on the door.
No, that's Mindy moving the table.
Lucy.
Sorry, Lucy moving the table. Lucy, no.
No. Okay.
We got a new cat, everybody.
Okay. So where was I?
We're just putting those characters to rest and
saying goodbye to
concluding
them.
their story, saying goodbye. Yeah,
Yeah.
sounds great
Sorry.
to me. Sorry.
I know that might be disappointing to some listeners.
Everything's got to come to an end at some
Yeah.
point, you know. And we felt that this was a good time to do it, to end this story with these three. With those two. So shall we talk a bit about how we all felt about the last
finale?
book and the final and this being over for Barb and DP and all the other characters?
Yeah. Okay.
You know me, I'm always excited to jump into the next thing, so I'm just excited and optimistic. I felt like this was a good place to end it, like we said earlier, and I'm excited to play a different character. Not that I didn't like playing Barb, but I just feel like something like different, a different energy. Barb was good for my first kind of role, but I want to kind of expand a bit more.
That's totally understandable.
Yeah, I feel the same. Basically, really ready to move on to a new character. I'm not like sick of DP or anything, but I definitely felt like by the end there, his story had come to kind of an end for me, being super attached to him. I think it's really funny. Like one of the people on our Discord was mentioning that we had originally made these characters with the thought that they would probably die within the first two episodes because we had been warned by Titus that Cyberpunk's a brutal game, so you might just get killed off, and we're like, well, whatever. So
we just basically randomly rolled them.
We rolled them. We didn't put much thought into the type of character we'd like to play for
the story
4 years or something. So it is really cool that they developed into what they are, and we got kind of attached to them. We didn't really expect these characters to have the longevity that they have, and it's cool how much they developed and how much attachment we have developed for them. But I was definitely thinking before we got into book 3, even before we got into book 3, I was like, I never intended for this character to have this level of like story, and I never really thought that this kind of jokey character would have to like have a conclusion. I was more just like, and so, you know, usually I like to, when we do our own writing for our games and stuff, we like to like think about how these characters, think about how the characters can be interesting before we like kind of start writing the story, so that when we start writing, we don't realize these characters have nothing to them. So this was kind of the reverse process, where it was like we had to make characters and then figure out what their thing about them that's interesting is. So it was a different challenge, and I think ultimately I definitely felt like DP had an ending that I thought was pretty interesting and satisfying, but also I'm definitely ready to move on, because I think it'd be nice to create a new character with the knowledge that this character won't die in 2 episodes, you know?
No promises, I guess. You know?
Oh my God.
Potentially won't die in
2 episodes.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, none of us expected this to be going on for as long as it did. We were just trying something out. It was like a game I used to play when I was a teenager, and I would talk about it occasionally, and you guys wanted to try it out, and we decided to record it when we tried it out. So I think some people have asked me, like, did I have this all planned out? And it would have been impossible to, you know, because we weren't intending this to be going on for as long as it was, or for it to be what it became. You know, we had to all kind of find what that was as we went. And in the same way that you guys maybe felt like you know, how do you keep these characters that you only intended to be in it for a little bit interesting? You know, I would struggle with like, how do I keep the story going with something that was only intended to be like a one-off kind of mission, you know? And so in the same way that you guys are, I think, ready to move on to new characters, I'm ready to move on to like a fresh start on being able to tell a story.
Yeah.
With maybe some intention of it, like, okay, well, maybe this will be going on. It could go on longer than I guess I intended the Barb and TB story to go on for.
Yeah. Fun anecdote I thought would be interesting to share with everybody is that before book 3 started, I made a theme that is called the Deasari, and it's a very old melody that is
It's associated with death.
Associated with death.
Yeah, and old films.
And so I was like, oh, I'll make my own, because I think that DP should die in this book.
You just kept teasing out, oh, I'm going to kill DP this time. Oh, this is the episode. I feel it. DP's going to die.
Well, eventually it was a joke.
I'm just like, are you freaking kidding me?
Eventually it became a joke, but at first it was pretty serious.
One of those jokes.
Where I thought, oh, I wasn't going to do it. Yeah, you both convinced me not to, because you thought, well, that would be really unsatisfying for everybody. And I ended up realizing that, yeah, DP deserves more than just like some like unceremonious death or something in this book. But yeah, I was just part of the reason why is because I felt like at the end of book 2, it was just kind of his story, which I pictured as being more of a tragic one than like a heroic one, was kind of coming to an end, and like it could only end with him dying, because he was this character that I felt like was at the end of his rope for so long, and there was only so long that he could do it before he would just not have any rope left, you know? So that was my thought about him. And not only that, but I was not super excited about continuing to play a male character, because if some of you probably know that I transitioned during the time period of this podcast starting and now. So that was part of it, but you know, and then eventually we were actually talking about maybe making DP figure out that he was non-binary or something, because I thought that would be more interesting of a character to play. But it just didn't feel once we started going, I was like, I don't see how it's that possible for me to cover that much ground with this character.
Yeah,
you know,
in like one book.
I didn't want it to just be like, snap, he's non-binary.
I would have to give it the care that it calls for.
Yeah, but and I started to realize over time that like that would be really hard to do while also trying to like conclude the overarching story, to just be able to like find a way for DP to have the realization, struggle with that, find a way to like be okay with it, and then start to like transition. And maybe I could have done like one of those or something, but like it just felt it felt like once I started going, I was like, that might be too much of a left turn for this character, and I think it's better off if he just ends the way that I think ends his character as DP, not like trying to. Not that he would be a different person, but like I didn't, I didn't want to like change him so radically that it felt rushed or wrong. It's a tricky thing to try and do, to just like organically have a character have that realization in the middle of like an action mystery our role-playing podcast. I have to get everyone else on my page and be like, yeah, okay, so everyone, this is the transition scene, or this is the part where he realizes that he's gay or something. Like, so I was definitely interested in doing that, but I didn't want it to be like a selfish kind of like, let's make this whole arc about DP's trans discovery or something. So
it's one of the things I guess I'm hoping to do differently in the future is I felt like this is just the way that I would write an adventure, was to try to like have there be like a ticking time bomb always happening, to just make sure that the action's always moving forward and that we wrap it up within 10 or 20 episodes rather than it just going on and on and on. But I realize now that that does kind of like inhibit the ability to maybe explore some things with a character that we wouldn't be able to do in those kind of settings, because all the Barb and DP stuff happens over the course of like a shockingly low amount of hours.
Exactly, right?
Like over the period of a day.
It's like usually more. It's usually like 3 days or something like that. But it's honestly they get like 1 or 2 terrible nights of sleep, and then they're just like going and going and going. And so I don't know. I'm exploring with different ways, because I think we talked about it, and it would have been really cool if we were able to do something like that in the podcast. But I guess I was leaving it up to you to present an opportunity, and maybe that wasn't fair. Maybe we should have talked about it a little bit more. But at the same time, I kind of guessed that we were just wrapping it up, and
Yeah, there was some questions I remember about DP's pronouns too, and as far as I'm concerned, they're still they, that they. Sorry, he, him. I don't want to be one of those like people that says, oh, but in my mind, he's really non-binary or something. It didn't happen in the show. It didn't. I wasn't able to make it happen.
To do it,
And so I don't want to claim that there's anything there, but I definitely felt that like there was kind of a metaphorical, like some of my own feelings about like discovering myself as like a person who wants to like treat myself as important in my life instead of just like working all the time. Came out in DP's story, and that like,
he recognizes he has value.
There was the joke about, you have a hobby, that was definitely part of it, where it's just like having time to just downtime. And the clothes, and like there's that part at the very end where Whisper comes up. And I was just like, you've changed my life in a way you can't understand. And I mean, like, I felt like I learned recently in my life the value of dressing in a way that makes you feel comfortable and reflects who you are more than just like putting on whatever shit you've got, and if you can, of course, but like, so that was definitely some of me coming out there. So coming through to the within the character.
Yeah, for sure. Those were great moments too. Maybe we will, speaking of moments, maybe this is a good segue into talking about our favorite moments of the, I guess we'll just do the whole thing, we're looking back on everything. Anything that comes to mind?
Lindsay?
Favorite moments. There's a lot of really good ones. One that sticks out to me, I guess, is in book 2 when we're fighting the puppet, or the what was it called? The doll soldier for the first time, in that like scrub zone apartment, and Barb just like crits this friggin' roll of like throwing an oven on top
ripping
of it,
the oven out of the
ripping
wall,
the oven out of the wall,
and then
just
throwing it on top
throwing it
of
on
him.
top of
yeah,
him. Yeah.
that was awesome.
that was cool. I also just like Barb throwing the friggin' radio.
Oh yeah, really early
that
on.
was
Early on?
Yeah, it's still one of the better ones.
Yeah.
One of the better moments.
That kind of like
Yeah.
set the tone for the whole thing, I think. You know.
But not just for Barb too, like DP's one-liners always get me. Well, get out your melee weapons because we're feeling around.
Yeah.
It's classic.
I like the like we're gonna have to wear these balaclavas for
the rest of our
lives.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, there's a lot. It's hard for me to find a favorite, to be honest.
Well, we're just talking favorites. You don't have to pick one.
Yeah.
Or...
Do you want to go next, Dice? Do you have any in mind?
My favorite, yeah, I guess some really moments that like stand out. I think are the kind of things that were to get to things that I didn't plan. You know, is when I'm engaged in a conversation with both of you or one of you as a character, and that kind of stuff always I think is my favorite part because there's no way of like writing every eventuality, and you end up just like saying things, you know.
Yeah.
So the conversation with Claire's Blurs
I was thinking of that one. Yeah.
Right, Claire's Blurs. I friggin' love that.
was great.
Yeah.
I think some of the times when I've had to like pull an NPC out of my butthole, when you like,
What's your name?
yeah, what's your name? You just
Ian?
ask, yeah, Ian really comes to
Ian.
mind, yeah.
R.A.P. Titus.
And you have to like make a choice, and I just made a choice to make this person like the saddest person possible, to make you feel as awful as possible for killing for just getting into this fight, which was not fair of me, but I thought was kind of funny, you know.
It was good.
Yeah, and the whole thing, you know, one thing that maybe like goes under the radar, I think, a lot, because some of this other stuff the fans have pointed out, but one thing that I feel like that people don't talk about, but it remains something that I really loved, is the relationship between Shane Deacon and DP throughout book 2, and just the like, there's like moments of just pure frustration from Shane Deacon, but at the same time he kind of
gets it.
yeah, it was like a kindred spirit in a way, you know. And that like the moment where he tosses you the file and fumbles and it just like blows in the wind, and the part where you're on the deck of the damsel and it's like we're like bringing Elenite up and down and no one can decide what's happening. Just that
I'm just
kind
yelling at a random person. What do you do?
What do you do? Don't take him down.
Yeah, that stuff
Oh my God.
I love, because it's like, you can't really plan this out. Like you plan for stuff, but the plan always just gets lost the minute that you open your mouth and a voice comes out that you weren't expecting for that character, or you say something,
Like
now that's canon, right?
Like the numbers gang.
The numbers gang.
Numbers gang really comes to mind.
Spicy.
That might be one of my favorite moments because I just thought it was
fucking
so
crying.
ridiculous.
We were just like, what? What is
Yeah.
there spicy?
Like when I made that whole thing up, I intended for it to be kind of like spooky and weird and creepy, and then I just tripped over myself presenting it in a way, and I think that's the thing about role playing that's interesting, you know, to me. So my favorite moments are those. I think on the other side, I think I was successful a few times at presenting like an atmosphere or a type of like, or some tension in describing scenes. And, you know, I thought that like, that's always, it's difficult to do, you know? So I guess I'm happy with some of the times that I was able to pull that off too.
For sure. There's a couple of ones, I guess, for favorite moments. I really like I said, maybe the numbers introduction where they said
We just lost it.
where we just lost it. I really liked in book 2 when we split up. I thought that was that was the first time we did that. I had to go
That
with
was interesting.
I had to go with Shane Deacon and to see Alloy, and you had to stay behind. And it was kind of this unspoken thing where it's like, I know that some actual play podcasts will talk about stuff out of character and be like, well, hold on, should you come with me and everything like that. We don't really allow for that much because we try and make it like so that like, well, you're not with me, so you couldn't talk to me. And we were in a situation where Barb was hidden and DP was kind of trying to be a distraction. And so there was no way that like I could have said to Barb, like,
we'll meet
what
here.
should we do?
Yeah.
So we just were like, we had to go through it. It was very immersive and like felt very like a natural thing that would happen in the world that I think it like wasn't planned, right?
No.
Like you hadn't planned that.
Not at all. Yeah.
So it just felt like, it was a very interesting thing that affected the story, and I enjoyed how like DP got time to talk to Hillman in that, and there was this kind of like, I think any time that it became, I really liked when we were able to play our roles in like to their best,
Like the fixer and the solo.
yeah. So it's like Barb is fucking shit up in combat, and like DP is in this like battle of wits with somebody, you know, which I always think is funny because he's on paper he's smart, but in reality he's kind of like bumbling like I am. So
Yeah.
but yeah, I thought that it was great because it was so suited the character so well to just be able to sit there and talk to who I think is almost like the real puppet master of that whole thing, and
For sure. Yeah.
and like realize kind of how powerless he was in the whole thing, but try and take whatever power he had. I thought that was cool.
Yeah, I think that was when maybe the podcast was firing in the kind of narrative sense, maybe at its best. It was when like we were going between those two stories and splitting it up and then coming it back together.
Yeah, it's definitely a high point.
Maybe
for
not
me.
the best comedy, but
Yeah.
book two is a lot more serious, I think, than the other ones.
There was some real more narrative heavy parts where a lot more exposition stuff in those scenes. So it's different flavor than like what we didn't split up this book, and we didn't do that in the first book, and we weren't really, well, actually we did split up in this book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We didn't in the first one.
I don't know where I was going with that. Maybe we should just start looking at questions.
I just wanted to say maybe that like on that note, before we go to the questions, I think that at its core, this thing is still something for us to blow off steam from where we are, in terms of working on other projects, right? And so I think that I've noticed that we kind of tend to bring a different energy depending on the project that we're working on to the podcast. So, when we were working on like a silly kind of dating sim, we made like a really kind of serious book. Serious book. And it's something that maybe I didn't kind of figure out as I was writing book 3, but we definitely had like a way more chaotic and silly energy to book 3 than I was ready for or anticipating,
Yeah.
But it was a lot of fun.
For sure. You want to grab the mouse?
Yeah, for sure. I can read the first question if you want.
Yep, we're starting at the top, the patron questions.
Yeah, this one is from Chris Anderson, one of our patrons. It's, will we ever see the holidays or their descendants again?
Or their many descendants.
The big
it's now
holiday
Christmas
family.
song, so
That family won't die.
a family that just won't die.
That's true. Yeah, it's like it's grown. It's now a hyphenated name. It's changed. There's maybe like different sections of it. I don't know.
Can't believe someone had a baby with those assholes. It was one of those assholes.
Well, he was not an asshole, though. He was a good one.
He just looked like his father.
Somehow he must have taken after his mother.
He was a
Yeah.
whole new character. He may have looked
Sure.
the same, but this one didn't have a hat.
Listeners, judge for yourselves, especially the patrons who will be getting the campaign materials. Let us know how much different Jeb Christmas song looks from the other two.
From the other
Christmas.
Yeah.
Christmases.
Well, I mean, I feel like you can easily tell the difference between Jonah.
Jonah and I can't remember. Jebediah?
No, I don't remember what it was.
Oh my god.
What do you think, Titus? Will they come back?
Probably not. You know,
Maybe when Titus is really angry with me. If
I never get angry with you, Sloan.
you just want to punish me by bringing the holidays back. No, I'm just joking.
No.
I actually like them. I think they're funny.
It was part of the theme that I was doing that you're not defined by your genes. You know what I mean?
Okay, that makes
in book
sense.
3, that was like, and also that you have to like step out of the problems of your old self. You know what I mean? So I wanted to present you with something that would maybe make you think like, oh, well, I know how to feel about this person, and then you'd have to change your mind about it.
That makes
because
sense.
it was kind of in line with that idea that like you are not beholden to your past. That I was, I guess, a theme that was kind of worming its way through the book 3. In kind of an annoying way, I will admit, but it's. I thought it's always fun to. I had a lot of fun with the holidays.
Yeah.
You know, that was. We'll get to talking about that more. There's another question where I'll get into that a little bit more.
Okay, cool.
Okay, the next question was from A.T. Johnston. For all of you, do you feel you learned anything about life or yourself from or through playing your characters, as in anything they taught you? And if so, what?
I think so. Like, I think DP, you know, especially starting out was kind of a reflection of where I was as a person, like before even recording the first episode, like years when I was more just straight out of high school, kind of like
Wandering.
really, really insecure
aimlessly, yeah.
and used humor as a defense mechanism and the big difference was that like DP is like aggressive and I'm not really aggressive. Like he'll go on the offensive when he's embarrassed, but I don't really do that. I'm more
You withdraw.
self-deprecating.
Yeah.
So that's a big difference, but it definitely made me think of like, do I want to be this kind of person? Constantly insecure and it's
pushback
coming out
too,
in different ways and that are kind of unpredictable and stuff. But so yeah, I definitely learned a bit about myself through that. But I think that's about it, really.
I think with Barb, I kind of learned that I think I learned about myself that it's really easy for me to fall into a sort of role that is like I'm tough and capable and just like I can do whatever. And I felt that way about myself for a long time. It was probably part of the reason why I chose to play a solo in the first place, because the description of it just really like resonated. Yeah. But now in life, I'm realizing like I'm not that strong, like, and I do need support from other people. And like I should just accept some of my shortcomings. But also a positive thing I kind of learned from Barb's story is that it's important to stand for things that you care about. And I always felt like I had strong feelings about certain things. Like I cared a lot about like community and like and socialism and like and you know healthcare and just like kind of all these political issues going around right now. I've always felt really strongly about them, and so kind of a catharsis was being able to play a character that could state that clearly, and then actually do something to fight for those causes.
Yeah.
So in that way, it was like a fantasy for me to play out. Like, oh, I really care about this thing. Here's a way to like do something about it in a way that I don't feel powerful enough to do in real life.
I think that
Yeah.
Barb was definitely the kind of moral compass, kind of beating heart of the story. You know,
For
Like,
sure.
it wouldn't have been the same if like DP is great, but a little morally gray, right?
Yeah.
Needed someone like Barb to point
Rein
him in
you
the
in.
right direction.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it just has like very little backbone. So
Yeah. But so yeah, and I think that you are a very strong and capable person. I'll just say but I can understand the need to like be vulnerable, and
yeah.
Barb isn't maybe
There's not a lot of space for
there
her.
wasn't a lot of space for
Yeah.
that. There were some moments I felt like
I liked the idea
you
of like
handled
playing
it-
out the PTSD aspect in the beginning of book 3.
I thought that was
Yeah.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the part of like your relationship with the Daughters of the Storm
Yeah.
and your sister, like it was very understated, but I think it needed to be with a character like Barb. But I think anyway, for sure. Is there a question for me here? Let me
I
think.
think just the same
Specifically,
thing.
yeah,
Did you
that-
learn anything about yourself
yeah.
playing Finn?
I
Like
think
Finn,
that
yeah.
well,
Not
no,
Finn.
not Finn.
Like
we'll do a
NPCs.
dissection when we talk about.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, never mind.
So I think that I've learned that there's something going on with me in elevators, because they're always the source of some kind. They're always the thing that brings you to some terrible thing. And every single book ends with an elevator that brings you to something bad.
Yeah.
You have
The
some
first
sort
one?
of anxiety around elevation. Maybe.
Sometimes they're going down, other times they're going up. Sometimes it's not clear, but there's definitely something with elevators. I don't know.
Like, I don't know who's to blame for it, whether it's my just like complete like tunnel vision while playing or something like that, or whether it was just the fact that there were so many elevators that I thought that it was becoming like a mechanic.
Yeah.
But like in the book 3 where
You
like,
just forgot how to use elevators.
we can't go back up there. Someone's gonna
Someone's gonna call the elevator. It's like,
Someone's
yeah,
gonna
you
send them
do.
back down.
What do you mean?
I was like, it's just an elevator. You can just push
press
the
the
button. He
button.
just has to get off at first.
Keep in mind, we both live in like duplexes,
Yeah.
like multi-story
I rode
duplexes.
many an elevator.
We
Yeah.
ride elevators every time we leave our friggin' apartment.
I know
I
how
hadn't
elevators
ridden-
work. I just thought maybe there'd be something more to it for some reason.
I should have. I'm gonna try to not do so many elevators or something. I gotta move past elevators.
It's just gonna be 0 elevation in the next
Yeah.
one. No, just a flat.
You just have to
world.
get there by your own power.
Yeah, basically all stairs.
It's all rope ladders,
rough ladders and stairs.
rope ladders and stairs, snakes and ladders. I think the other thing is that I mean, there's a lot, right? Like I think in some ways when you have to make up stories like this, a lot of your like
Yourself
stuff comes
through,
out,
yeah, for
So
sure.
maybe just to focus on book 3, I think that I've kind of realized, I think through, examining my mind, that I can be stuck in these like loops, or I can feel kind of sabotaged by like decisions I made in the past, or things I would have done in the past, or the person I was in the past. And the other thing I think is that sometimes, with the little amount of success that we've had with this podcast, it can like intensify that imposter syndrome that I carry around sometimes, where I'm just like, I'm not equipped for this, like people like it, but they're wrong. If they really knew like how bad I am at this, they'd figure it out, and then they wouldn't be good anymore. And they'd all realize the thing that I know, which is that it's terrible,
Yeah, I totally get that feeling.
But so yeah, I don't know. In a lot of ways, it's like you can never get away from role playing as being a part of like examining stuff. It's like I guess children playing with doll houses, which is another thing that I was kind of trying to incorporate. Is that you're working your stuff out.
Mm-hmm. It's my favorite pastime. Play Sims 4 a lot. It's like virtual dollies.
Yeah.
The one thing I forgot to say about what I've learned about myself is that I'm chaotic.
It's just like a player. in
As a
general.
player, I didn't think I would be necessarily, because I'm pretty neurotic in real life. But like the chaos comes out when I play. I don't know what that is. It's just something about me. And
I've also learned that like, although it's not really in the Barb and DP arc, more so in the Fast and Furious. But I've learned I really like simulating eating.
Oh my god.
Like we spent a lot of time looking for food.
Yeah,
I
that's
mean
a
more
Fast
than
and
most
Furious
people
thing.
do.
Well,
I feel like
there's a lot of food in like book 1 was all donuts and,
Yeah,
and
that's
ramen.
true.
Book
Right?
2 was all about meat and
meats.
charcuterie boards.
Yeah, the charcuterie.
Book
Yeah,
3
there's
we
just
did have
something-
like a Cyber Monday feast for a special episode.
I think there's something funny about in this dark cyberpunk world. You gotta make sure you get some food in you. You know,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
just doesn't feel very gritty.
And I'll never settle for just that weird friggin' kibble, in-world kibble shit.
No.
Like I
No.
want some real
That's
food.
just not happening.
It's not satisfying.
Next question.
Okay, so this is from LH, still on Patreon. If the AI had been using generations of clones like playthings, when in the story did it lose control? We'll handle that one first, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think it ever was in control, even when it was like just a simulation without clones, right? Or like a simulation with consciousnesses in it. I think that I guess the point I was trying to get across is that it's like this eldritch nightmare that the corporations kept thinking that they could use for power, but it never had any answers. It was always like obsessed with the idea of destruction. Like it constantly would be like, oh, the end of the world's coming, or you know, we have to hide here and not like don't go out into the world. It's terrible out there, you know. So it just had more power in the different iterations to enact those fears, I guess, right? So that's what I would say to that one. Moving on, this is from LH. Question for all, what was your favorite, most memorable scene from this book and why?
So yeah, my favorite one was probably when I had to do that complete bullshit to the numbers about how I know
fish
the real
stream?
the secrets to the fish stream,
Oh my, your PA announcement.
and then having to announce it on the
my
PA
God.
was real good.
I was
I thought
crying.
that
I was crying.
so hard for me to get out.
There's just both those episodes. Both the
were
episode
so
had two
sloppy.
versions of both of you guys making huge announcements to everyone. And
They were both
as a
so
GM,
dumb.
I love that because it's just like I'm gonna get out of your way.
ahead.
You just go ahead. Just what do you say? Let's hear it.
Yeah, and I just could not get it out. And I thought it was really funny that it worked out because he was on drugs. So
Yeah.
the fact that it's just the
sounded
peon
high
goes on,
as
and then
fuck.
I'm already like, is this on? And then just crack up, and I can't say it, and then somehow it works. It's just so funny.
Yeah, you rolled like a fucking 25.
I
Everyone's
got him.
convinced.
Fucking got him.
Oh my god, we were dying.
Yeah. So I think that's my favorite moment.
My favorite moment. I think
What about making fun of Vol?
Oh my god, yes.
Ripping
Making fun
on-
of Vol and
I
like
know you like that one.
in the helmet tower when we had to go to the level Vol was so scared of.
You'll
We're
never
like,
guess, Vol. It's a hallway.
guess what? It's a hallway.
Yeah.
Better shield your eyes.
This is what I'm talking
Very
about with that
scary.
energy that makes it almost impossible to get a certain mood across.
Yeah.
That was funny.
I think that mine also involves Vol, and it's when you when they surprised you in the submarine bunker, and you tried to sneak away by swimming away.
I was like, and I say, and you're like, what do you say?
What do you say?
You're
Yeah,
supposed to be hiding. I was gonna
Don't
say,
look at me,
don't
right?
look at me.
It's like the best is someone who's failing at sneaking, turning to everyone and saying, "Don't look at me."
Barb's this badass, and confronted with this person, ditches her two friends and just jumps
Just
into
jumps
the water and
tries to swim away.
bonks her head on a submarine.
Not a submarine. It
Two
was
submarines.
it was Delta. It was Delta Serrano's submarine. The submarine that we just could not
You cannot avoid scratching.
That's
in
one of my
some
favorite
way.
ongoing bits. It's not a moment, but it's one of my favorite ongoing bits.
yeah.
That the dice,
the
the
dice
dice were like,
roll.
"Oh, don't worry, we got you on this comedic rule
Yeah.
of threes here." It was amazing.
And I had nothing
Speaking
left
of,
to do but to just get out of the water and
Yeah.
just stand there.
It's not the question, but talking about our favorite bits. The fact that Dr. Chowdhury
Oh my
never
God.
once fumbled every single attempt to
That man
I hated that
infuriated
guy
me.
so much. It was
was
really
No
funny
to
though.
end.
so funny to me. I remember holding out the one
Yeah.
the last time it happened, being like, everyone needs to witness this.
This
Like, I
happened.
cannot believe this.
It was amazing. Yeah.
Okay, moving on. Titus, have you ever considered doing a Cult of Cthulhu or Weird West game? We actually tried the rule set for
Call of
Call of Cthulhu,
Call
I
of
think. So maybe
Cthulhu
Cult of Cthulhu
in
is
a
a
live
different
stream.
thing.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, it was
but
a
we didn't really
Halloween
try
live
out the world, you know.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with fantasy, where other people have asked me, like, what about a D&D game? Where I'm just not like, I just don't feel that confident in those worlds, and so I'd be willing to try it, like, for a lark, you know, but nothing. Maybe on a live
Serious.
stream or something, we could just give it a shot. But it's gonna sound like Lord of the Rings because
That's your only point of
it's
reference.
My point of reference for fantasy, and for Call of Cthulhu, it's probably gonna sound like Sinking City, which is the game I played. It
Oh,
was set in
yeah.
that, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm just not. I just never been like you know, I've consumed a lot of cyberpunk media, but I haven't been a huge fan of the kind of Cthulhu mythos or whatever. Not that I don't like it. It's just that I'm
Not that
never
your strong suit.
Yeah, it's not my strong suit.
Yeah. We also just like cyberpunk as a aesthetic and a world. It's fun to play in that world, and so we're gonna continue to do that, I think.
Yeah. One big question that a lot of people asked, and we just decided to cover it with the high suplexocrat because it was the only question they asked, is just like, who's your favorite side character? Who's your favorite NPC?
And what's the title of their spin-off series?
What's the title of their spin-off?
spin-off series?
We'll see if we can come up with that. I don't know.
It's hard to choose.
It's really hard to choose.
But, so let's just name some then.
Okay,
Because
Claire's
instead-
Blurs.
Yeah, I was gonna
one,
say
for
Claire's
sure.
Blurs for sure.
And her side series, spin-off series would be Claire's Blurs.
Investigates or something.
Investigate.
Yeah, Claire's Blurs on scene or something. Or
The hot seat.
yeah, Claire's
The hot
Blurs
seat.
and a hot seat.
Hot seat. For sure.
I like
Hot
her
seat of
hot
terror or
I
something.
also like her like disguising and
Oh my
sneaking
God,
into
yeah.
places. you
That's
know?
She just like,
yeah.
as far as we know, died in book 2.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah, I didn't really bring her back for book 3, but yeah.
I also really like Brecker High.
Brecker High is
Brecker
really
High
fun.
makes me laugh.
Yeah.
I remember when we first met him, I just kept getting his name wrong. I was
Yeah.
like, okay, Brian.
I just
It's Brecker.
I loved his just
Yeah.
like his real toxic masculine energy.
Yeah.
That was but it was also just like so blatantly obvious about his insecurities that would just come out all the
Yeah.
time. It was great. There's another joke that formed from the roles because you kept
Yeah.
fumbling
Yeah, I
as
kept fumbling
him.
his roles.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh god, I'm usually I'm
really good at this.
I've trained my whole life in martial arts. Yeah.
That was great.
What's
I
the
loved
title
him.
of his spin-off?
Oh, geez. I guess Solo of Fortune or something like that.
Oh, Fortune.
What about, like,
That's so good.
Brecker High Stakes.
Brecker
High Stakes!
That's the one.
That's the
You
one.
got it.
That's the
You
one.
got it. Clyde, right?
Clyde.
We love
For
Clyde.
sure. Clyde just pulls through.
Clyde, you know,
It was the opposite with your roles with Clyde.
Yeah.
He was just like getting through
If
everything.
you looked at the character sheets between Brecker High and Clyde, it's unbelievable
be-
that Clyde is the one that had heroic moments.
Yeah.
You know?
I'll be honest, like there's something about when Titus has a certain voice, it's like, okay, I'm gonna like this character. And this is like
This
kind
is
of
his voice.
I don't know, kind of like airy voice of Clyde. I just loved it. I
loved
was
it.
immediately like, you are such a fun character.
Yeah.
So yeah, you never know.
Yeah.
What
And what's
characters we're gonna
Clyde's
get
spin-off
attached to.
show? I feel like it would be wrestling.
Yeah,
inspired.
probably. Yeah, it would just be like a podcast where he talks
Clyde
about wrestling.
Smackdown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Smackdown review with Clyde.
Yeah.
I obviously like Sleazy.
Sleazy,
And
yeah.
they're all like
And
the main
Alan.
cast. They're all main cast. I wouldn't call
Yeah.
them side characters.
Yeah.
Right?
No.
That's
Okay,
true.
cool.
I had a lot of fun playing Vol.
Vol,
Playing a character that just despised the two of you. You know.
I liked Fall too.
I liked Vol, but for like because of their efficiency, I guess, or like their ability to like get things done.
Yeah.
But like it would always come at the cost of us working with them. So it was like hard to be like, oh yeah, I really respect their decision to do that there.
No,
'Cause
I
it's like, it
really
fucks us
like the
over.
like the uneasy truce that
Yeah.
was constantly coming up between all of you. you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah. I'm sure we're missing some, but
Dr.
There's
Nebbiolo,
so many-
you're always going to win me over with the talking Furby stuff. I love Dr. Nebbiolo. And Chip, how could we forget Chip?
oh
Chip.
yeah,
Poor
Chip.
Chip.
Right. There's a question about what happened to Chip, and we'll get to
Yeah.
that later.
Yeah, I loved Chip too for sure.
I mean, I hated Chip as my character, Barb, but I want to be clear, I like Chip as Lindsay.
Yeah, yeah.
What
I
about
really like him.
Rushford or
Rushford
Or Maxwell?
Maxwell.
Yeah. God.
what an asshole?
Oh, God.
I mean,
my God.
honestly, we came into his life and fucked it right up.
Yeah.
but
Like, you like had a guy shit on his bar. And somehow talked your way to that one by promising him the moon.
Yeah,
And then he was upset when you didn't deliver. I mean,
Yeah,
what
but
an
it's like-
asshole.
right, but like, don't be an asshole about it.
That was a great moment when you're like, if one more man in sunglasses
Sunglasses yells at
me.
Because it was also the Shade Deacon, and
Yeah.
then the mobster guy, too.
There was just a lot.
Yeah.
Big Kai, I
Big
think.
Kai, that's
and,
it.
Yeah.
just so many other people yelling at me.
Yeah, I think there's the ones that always get lost are like the efficiency characters, that maybe were the more serious ones. We never talk about like, like the Jane Sokolas or the Shinways.
Greta.
I liked Greta a lot.
liked
I
Greta.
think that
I mean-
Greta had a pretty interesting arc.
She had an
Yeah.
interesting arc, but also just like kind of dropped the ball when we needed her the most.
Yeah.
That was the
Like,
roles
tough.
again.
Yeah,
too.
it was the roles.
Yeah.
For sure. Like, I think
And Callista.
they're like really
/Cal.
important for the story.
Yeah.
But I guess like when we think back, we're thinking of like ridiculous moments a lot of the
Yeah.
times. Those stand out to us. But they're important because they're there to like
ground it.
ground it and
Yeah.
show sometimes the opposite of our ridiculousness.
I also like, just to put them into one category, is the really good shopkeepers. Whether it's
Chunks,
Scumper.
or
Scumper.
Whisper, just the people that are like really good at just running a store, selling you and giving
Yeah.
you a good customer service experience.
Yeah.
for sure.
That's always fun to play too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. So we're
Moving
on to the
on.
Twitter questions.
Yeah, so the first one is from @pixelman86. Probably too late for the podcast. No, in fact, it wasn't. But a general question, does the team have any plans of ever attending any local-ish cons? I'm in the Waterloo region and would be willing to travel to Toronto, or would love to see you at more local events, Con Bravo, Ragnarok, GriffCon, etc.
Wow. You're like one of the only
Ontario-based.
Ontario-based
fans.
fans that we have. At least one of the vocal ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you look at our
Unfortunately.
analytics, like most of our fans are in
in
America,
or the
and
UK.
somewhere in the UK.
or the Europe.
Europe too.
And
like
Europe.
there's a lot of
General Europe, yeah.
Europe ones, and
Yeah.
then
Canada comes in third.
it's all over the
unfortunately.
world. If we could somehow get all of our fans from all over the world together, we might be able to do a con.
Yeah, but it would
Yeah.
be. We understand it would be a big ask for
we
people
went-
like in the
It's
Netherlands.
not possible. It just isn't
No.
possible. Yeah.
If we have an audience, but it's not that big of an audience that we
No.
could just go to a place and
And it certainly
expect
isn't
people to show
local.
up.
Yeah,
We're not
for
local celebrities here in Toronto.
No,
Nobody knows
no one
who we
knows
are.
who we are. We don't have that kind of pull.
Yeah.
Yeah, but thank you for the
Yeah,
for the,
thank you.
uh,
I
Yeah.
hope one day,
Well, I hope one day.
that's something to aim for. One
For
day
sure.
we'll go to Waterloo.
No, they'll come to
They'll
us.
come to us.
To Toronto.
Well, yeah,
Toronto.
either one.
Why would we
you
go to
know?
Waterloo? There's nothing in Waterloo.
Don't say that to the person from Waterloo.
No, they know.
Yeah. God, Lindsay.
Okay,
All right, moving
next
on.
question.
So this one is from
Just say the ad.
at Coriolanissum.
Yeah.
Coriolanissum.
Coriolanissum?
Why did you decide to take such a radical left turn in book 3 to a different self-contained setting and technically sort of different characters? I'm sure the team would be back to more familiar territory by episode 3 or 4, but you kept going the whole time. Well, I think that it was kind of it was continuing, I guess, what I would imagine would happen.
The next logical
step
Red.
for the AI and for everything.
But also for like from 2020 to Red, we needed a good way to like
Transition
to, and an explanation as to why Barb and DP are the same age, kind of.
Yeah. So I guess part of that is that we were transitioning to a different game system that was 45 years ahead of 2020 in a different time. And so we were doing that. And also, I think that, like, I try to sometimes write something that's, like, contained within one place, you know? Because it's, like, there was this whole mystery that I was trying to establish of, like, who you are and what's happened. And if you could just, like, go to the library in some city, then...
That would solve that.
It would just kind of solve that.
Yeah, that was like literally one of the first things we tried.
Right. Yeah. We tried to look for a newspaper article or something.
Yeah.
But there was just no paper media. Really.
I hope by the way you're asking the question, Coriolanissum, that you had a good time anyway, you know?
Oh, I think so. The next question is from @AmericanLikeYou. Hi, everyone.
Wrong, we're Canadian. Sorry.
Hi, everyone. This dissection question is for Lindsay. I can't help but notice that you laugh a lot during gameplay, even in stressful situations. Is Barb actually laughing, or are you just enjoying the game in a meta fashion? I hope you got a good laugh out of this question.
We certainly did, yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to say half of it is just me, and the other half is Barb, but...
I feel like I can tell when Barb's laughing or when Lindsay's just laughing.
Yeah.
Barb's usually laughing in kind of a mean way at somebody.
Yeah, like Barb laughs in a mean way, whereas Lindsay laughs in a nervous way, for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
I definitely laugh when I'm nervous, so I'm sorry if that seems kind of takes you out of the experience.
There's definitely times where I'll be editing and it's like, oh, it's a really tense moment.
And then I'm just like fucking laughing.
And then I'm like scoring it in a way where it's like really tense. And then Lindsay's just like, yeah, I mean, I'll hook up to the simulation, I guess.
Yes.
I'm just like,
why are you laughing? You fucking weirdo.
For sure, yeah.
But it's part of the charm, I
That's
think.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that question. So now we're into the Discord questions.
Discord.
There's quite a bit of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you all for submitting your questions, by the way. This is great.
Mm-hmm. This one's from our great mod, Andre, and this one's for you two. Do you feel that your character's story arc is properly concluded? Any regrets regarding the choices you made during the saga?
Bonus, what happened in ship?
Well, I'll ask that after.
Oh.
Okay. So, do I feel like my character came to their story came to a good arc and was properly concluded? I think to a degree, yeah. Like, I think when it ended, I was not sure really if that was like a really conclusive like ending to DP's story. But at the same time, I felt like it had to be like that. I felt like it had to be in this way where he has this fresh start, sort of, at that point.
He needs to start, over. We can't just keep doing the same shit forever.
He's kind of the character. He was very much a character that was stuck in his past. Like he carried around this letter that was, there to give his mom if he died, and that was all because he was paying off this debt, and he knew his time on this earth was like limited because of it, and he was just like really making a lot of his decisions because of things that happened before the game even started.
There was just too much, riding on him.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the cloning was kind of like a boon in disguise for DP.
Yeah, it was just, I'm not that person anymore, and I don't have those
to.
attachments anymore.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to just, what do I want? And in the end, I think I was hoping, I guess, while I was playing, to hopefully come up with what DP wants. But I think it's kind of nice that he kind of still didn't know at the end, because it's like,
You wouldn't.
It's really reflective of that, having to just like keep looking at what you're doing so you don't fuck it all up, and not really having time to think about what you care about. And then at the end, it was like, well, now he does have some time, and he's just flailing, like maybe I'll open up a cafeteria. Maybe I'll.
I mean,
I'll
this
do
is the kind of thing that I feel like that's true to his character.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I felt it was really nice that at the end it was just, I don't know what I'm going to do, but it's just, I know that I don't want to do this anymore, and I was not cut out. Finally realizing that he's not cut out to be a fixer, and that's not his calling, and that he wants to value his life, and spend it with people he cares about. So, yeah.
I feel the same way with Barb. There's definitely I feel like Barb is also realizing she can't keep up the solo career as a merc for hire anymore, and she lost a connection with people that were really important to her, like her family, over that. So I feel like the next logical step for her would be to just go off to the sea and be the pirate she's always wanted to be and reconnect with her family. I don't really foresee, I like the open-ended nature of the end of our finale. That's just my personal preference for writing stories, is nothing is ever clean, not in reality. And to me, it just feels more genuine when it's like that, when it's more open-ended. But yeah, I'm happy with Barb's arc as well.
Yeah. Regrets. I think there was a couple of times where I regretted trying to force DP to have something going on narratively. And I regret any time that I really tried to push that at the expense of being in the moment in role playing. Just a few times here and there where I did it. I can't think of anything specific, but I definitely felt in book 2 there was a part more towards the beginning where I was really focusing on, this is him backsliding and this is all this. I was really trying to push that a little bit. And I felt like by the end, I found the actual story that DP needed to have. And and when I was pushing, trying to force it, it didn't feel natural and felt more like I was trying to shoehorn this character into a place that doesn't make sense for the overall story or something. So I guess,
and it's less enjoyable for you as a player.
Yeah, because there's this tension there.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get this thing to happen, but the rest of the story is not moving in that direction.
For regrets for Barb, or my choices specifically,
Do you regret throwing the walkie-talkie in the water?
No, honestly,
no one regrets that.
I don't play.
No, I'm just joking.
Honestly, I don't have a lot of regrets when it comes to my role playing. I feel like this is supposed to be a space for me to just do whatever and just deal with the consequences as they come. And so, yeah, I don't really feel a lot of regret. I guess. Yeah, I feel like all the decisions I made kind of went in line with what I wanted for the character. So
there was some confusion I remember on the Discord, people talking about how they felt like I was being that DP was being cruel to
to Alloy,
to Cyborg Alloy.
Yeah.
And I regret that it came off that way, because that wasn't my intention, and that wasn't supposed to be DP's intention. It was his intention was to give him this phone so that he could talk to DP and and have some company before he dies, because we couldn't stay down there forever. So that was the intention, And of course, it came across clumsy and awkward. And that awkwardness, instead of coming off as just being awkward,
Genuine,
it came
yeah.
off as being cruel to some people. And I just want to clear it up. That wasn't my intention, so I regret that, I guess. But like I said, when you're trying to be funny, and also sometimes things come across differently. But yeah, so it's not a huge regret, but just wanted to clear that up for anybody.
So there was a bonus question, and that's what happened to Chip.
Yeah.
And I can kind of talk about this a little bit. When we started this off, we were doing sort of like lines and veils, and one of the things you said, Lindsay, was no
Animal cruelty.
No animal cruelty. And I feel like it's almost impossible to have Chip in the story without some animal cruelty, because Chip's very existence is kind of cruel to animals.
I mean, yeah.
The initial kind of concept that I had before we had that discussion was that, that really early on you encountered some robohounds inside, like as bad guys. And I had this idea that Chip's mind was in the simulation as being used as these, like, to kind of control the guard dogs of Newark. But I didn't really want to go anywhere with it because it was ultimately like kind of sad, right?
Yeah.
Like and bad for Chip's kind of
ending.
So I
Yeah.
guess canonically Chip had, like, went off to a nice farm and
Went off to the Great Green.
Yeah, lived a nice life.
Yeah,
while
farm in the sky.
after book 2.
Exactly.
Okay, so the next question is from I Am Mur. Was there anything you regret doing in the series up to this point, like missing a side story or approaching a situation a certain way? We kind of went over that.
So maybe I'll talk about
Yeah,
my
go for it.
I guess I had, like, at certain times a lot of regrets about book 3, because I felt a lot of pressure to kind of find some way to resolve all of the craziness that we've, had to deal with over 4 years and just of improv and weirdness, right? And I think that I've ultimately just come to a place that it was, when we're talking about it, there were a lot of great moments in book 3, and I think I was just, like, really hard on myself, and people were expecting that this was, like, something that was planned from the beginning.
No.
I don't think anyone's really honest if they say that that's true. Like,
No.
I don't believe George Lucas when he said that about Star Wars and
or Turf McTurf
Things
face.
always
Yeah.
change. Things always change no matter what medium you're working with. But with role playing, it's impossible for things not to change. So you can't really plan all the way to
Exactly.
the end.
Yeah.
Things are gonna,
Especially if you're not scripted, too.
even if
We're
you
not
make
scripted.
you make a plan.
think we're scripted.
We're not. I mean,
Yeah,
why would you
we're
think
not. I mean-
that? You think someone would write the things
Right?
coming out of my mouth?
Yeah.
No, not happening.
We got a comment like that on YouTube or something. I
would
thought
write
that was
the things
wild.
coming out of my mouth. So no, that's not what's happening here.
Yeah.
But I guess in the future I want to try to stick the landing a little bit better and the different, at the end of things, because I feel like there's a lot of I have a really good setup, and then the characters run off and do things, and then trying to corral some kind of ending or meaning out of it is very difficult.
It's hard for
Yeah.
sure.
Add on to that, what happened to the cat Barb found?
So the thing with Bryn's Finger is that the day that we recorded the finale, we had no internet, and had I
Yeah.
been able to look at my Roll20,
Right.
I would have been able to see all the characters that and wrap everything up a little more neatly. Right?
Yeah, that was an unfortunate timing.
So all I
Yeah.
had was my notes that we somehow Lindsay managed to go onto her phone and email to me, so that all I was looking at, like, just a Word document.
Yeah.
So I forgot, and I had
so
in
did
my
I. I
mind
totally
that there
forgot
was
too.
there was something, like, I kept having that feeling like I'm
Yeah.
missing something.
Yeah.
The cat was just went to the surface.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
I
just her
think-
pet now.
Yeah, just went with Barb.
And
Yeah.
it's living on the boat.
Yeah,
now.
it's a boat cat.
It's a boat cat.
The cat is
It's the
good.
cat of the sea.
Cat of the sea.
A happy ending for the pets.
Yeah.
Another one from I Am Mur. A question for Sloan and Lindsay. Do you already have ideas for what sort of characters you want to play for the next campaign?
We can talk a
We'll
little
talk-
bit about
we'll talk
that at
about
the end.
yeah.
Because
We'll
we're
talk
going to talk
about-
about
At the end.
what's coming next for the game that Titus is GMing.
is planning.
At the end. So
Yeah.
we'll cover it then. But we do have some ideas.
Yeah. For Titus, how About how long do you take to think up and plan out campaigns? Did you ever have to drastically change the story due to the way things were unfolding, or were you able to stick to your plans despite the twists and turns? Also, did you ever think of involving Barb's brother in the story? Oh shit, I had a brother.
I never
I completely forgot about
I'll probably
brother.
do this in reverse order. So I never had any plans for Barb's brother, but
No.
there's also something in Barb's backstory about a friend that was like an enemy that became a friend from Militech. And I had something that in book 1 there was sort of a plan to do something like that, and it may at one time I toyed with the idea that he was the one to break you out of prison in book 2, but by that time I was like, I have a character that's perfect for that's already in the story. So like just presenting this character like, hey, remember this thing? You don't.
Yeah, never set up.
Yeah. So no, I guess to that. And do you ever have to drastically change the story due to the way things are unfolding? Absolutely,
Of course.
100%.
It's just like the nature
all the
of
time.
GMing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're constantly laying track as you go. And I've heard that some GMs will just be like, there's these solutions to this problem. And you're kind of like, you'll just run into an invisible wall until you pick the ones that I've already thought of. And whenever I played like something like that, and it would usually come from someone like who had like a pre-written campaign, because they were like, I don't know, this isn't in the it doesn't say what to do if the players decide to eat cake with the bad guy or something like that, right? But I don't want to do that. So you always like, you can't plan it like that, you know? Sometimes you have like a thing where you're like, probably by the end of this episode I could reveal this, and that would make a good kind of twist, you know? And it's a little different because we have a set amount of time, and then we kind of want to have like a hook at the end, you know? So I usually have some concept for that, but you'll listen to some episodes where I'm like, I guess that's the end of the episode because I got nothing. And you can clearly tell by that point that like, we're so
far
off of what I had planned.
Yeah.
And other times I'll just fake it, and then I'll have to like sit there and scramble to write something because I was like, the big reveal is this, you know?
I mean, you don't do too shabby because it's a question.
Yeah.
Clearly.
How long do you take to think up and plan out campaigns? I spend a really long time writing the characters and thinking about the environments, because I feel like if you have those things, then you have the pieces to make like an improvisational story kind of work.
Yeah.
If you have like solid characters that have motivations that are going to try to do things that are in the interest or against the interest of the characters, of the player characters, then I think a story can come out of that. And if you have an interesting place for that to happen, then that also helps a lot.
Yeah,
I think in the future I would try to set the stories. I think Cyberpunk works the best in a city setting. It was kind of interesting to do like the underwater thing, but I take about as much time as I have, which is the
like
amount of time.
Usually?
Yeah, like I'll work on it while I'm working on other things, while Sloan is doing Fast and the Furriest, or I don't remember before we did that, how much time I had between books, but
Yeah, we took like a short break, but not that much.
Months. It was like 3 months or something. We did
between 1 and 2. I don't know what it was.
Yeah, it wasn't
I don't
that
know.
long between
1 and 2 was much shorter.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you just have the time that you have, and you try to do the best that you can do.
For sure.
And also you have ideas in your head, and I think this is a concept I like to think of when you're trying to write a story. Is you think like about a concept I call destiny, which is like the players are destined to meet this character. The players are destined to encounter this problem. So the world will kind of bend around to make that happen, no matter what your player, how offshore, like your players can go all the way off course, and you just change the history of the world in the places that they're not seeing to make it line up so that this destined thing happens.
Yeah,
It's
for
a
sure.
good way of doing it.
Yeah.
It makes it feel natural,
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
forced.
So that's what I would say about
That's
that.
kind of similar to, I remember with Fast and the Furious, I was like, where you need to run into your daughter, and Finn needs to run into his daughter, and it's just not happening because you just were staying so far away from her
from
university.
The college. Yeah.
So I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm gonna have to intervene and like have her show up in the story.
No, the way you did it was really good, really cool.
It was
Thanks.
fantastic.
It was really effective.
Thanks. But yeah, I was picturing it being sort of different, but yeah, the Destiny thing really rings true for sure.
The last part of this, I am Mir. I can't remember if it was covered in book 2 or 3, so I'm just going to post a question here that I was wondering. We know that Chinwei and Ruby got away, but were they just not arrested by Petrochem at the end of book 1, or were they taken to NAVFAC and later released?
They were taken to NAVFAC and later released.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think that's
forgot
what happened
about
with Chinwei. Ruby wasn't on the boat.
No,
I think
don't
Ruby
think-
was
I think Ruby just got
relocated
away.
before it all
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah.
So she didn't get arrested.
No.
But that's what happened with Chinwei. Trevor Goodchild, for Titus, what was your single most frustrating GM moment during the whole campaign?
I'd like to know this too.
Can you guys just I want you both to take a shot in the dark before.
Okay.
It's the most frustrating in the whole campaign.
Yeah, in the whole
Okay.
campaign. Take a shot in the dark.
The
with this
noodle
one.
part maybe, where I went to the
Trying to get you.
to sell beef or no.
Oh my God!
to
Tried to sell
some
the pork. It was pork
to,
belly to
to
one of the Christmases.
one of the Christmases.
Do
Maybe.
you have a guess, Lindsay?
I think when in book 2 again, when we were going to talk to the kid, what was his name, Sheldon or something,
And we forgot everything.
and we forgot everything about
Yeah, I
the
remember
story,
when you were like-
and you were like, "No, that was my dad. My dad's
Yeah,
dead."
you
Oh,
go home
I'm
and
so
talk to
sorry.
your dad. My dad's dead. Yeah.
Like you two did not remember anything, did you?
I'm not really confident that you guys can solve this case.
Yeah.
You don't even have
You
the
don't even
basic,
know the basic information.
You know, I think if I'm honest, probably my most frustrating GM parts are probably at myself, you know? But if I think the nature of the question is asking would, and it's the noodle part for sure.
Of course.
And when you listen back into it, I think you can sense my frustration. And then there's a moment where I just go with it.
Yeah.
You know? Where I'm just like, actually, okay, well, if this is a thing, then we're making this a
It's a
thing.
thing.
You know?
Yeah.
And so there was never a plan for the holidays. This is another example of twists and turns of planning. In book 2, there was no plan for the holidays to be this thing, right?
No. It was just completely
The
random.
character portrait I had of, I can't even remember, the holiday that you encountered, right, was just a person that could have been a fixer that worked with you, but you didn't
Right.
pick them out of the ones that you wanted to
So
pick.
it's just a random person.
So it's just a
That's
random person that I named like Jeb Christmas or whatever, you know?
Jonah.
And, Jonah Christmas. And it just, I guess my frustration turned into, well, this is a story. This is going to be the B story then, you know?
amazing. Yeah, that was amazing. That's very good.
That was so good.
Because I think the frustrating part was that the inciting incident was literally down the street. And I was just trying to get you guys to the
go to the
inciting
hospital.
incident of this book.
And so we're like,
To
let's go
me-
Sell some meat to a local noodle
start
shop.
a barbecue or
Yeah.
something. That was amazing. Yeah. Oops.
Okay, so from Briar to Titus, how much of the story do you write in advance versus improv?
I think
we
you
kind of covered
answered
that.
that in a sort of
What
a
is the
way.
furthest off intended story that Sloan and DP and Lindsay/Barb have gone?
That's an interesting one. I'm actually
Yeah,
interested
I
about
don't
that
know.
for this book specifically, for book 3,
Yeah,
because
how far off did we go?
because in this I know some of the diversions of the previous books of like
Yeah.
when we got split up and obviously in book 1 when we just like went straight for the
locker.
Yeah.
the storage locker. But for book 3 I'm curious.
The part where it's probably the most off, I'd say, is when you split up again. You know, when you were just having these like both those PA announcements. the idea that like you were just gonna like you go handle the numbers. I'm gonna go off
and handle the hackers.
You were just obsessed with this pirate radio station and getting on the air and warning people. And it
To
was
be
just
fair, I stated my plan several times and no one else said anything to contradict it.
it's
So
true.
I thought it was necessary.
I wasn't there to say it, so
But that would probably be the moment. And I mean, a lot of things went, there was like little things like I wasn't expecting that encounter with Kitty and Pink and Gora to go the way that it did, right? Like all of that stuff, I guess, added up to. But the moment I'd say it was the most off is that split up,
in those two announcements.
And those two announcements.
Amazing.
Yeah.
To Sloan, were there any moments when playing DP that stand out as some of your best PC experience?
Yeah, I mean, I think like as far as stuff that I thought was really good role playing and not just goof 'em ups, I felt like like I was saying that conversation with
Hillman.
There's a moment at the end of that in book 2 where before I leave, I said to like her that if anything happens to Barb, I'm coming for you with any small power I have. I'm coming after you with it. And then I just like turned and left, and I was like,
that was badass.
That was one of the good role playing moments, not just being a goofball. So
I think reaching out for Barb's hand too at the very end of book 2. That was a really nice moment.
For sure.
To Lindsay, do you ever plan on taking the ref seat at some point? I don't know. I'm just very back and forth on it, honestly. I have refed before where, but not on like podcasts, just like as fun one-offs.
Yeah.
It's a different beast altogether when you're doing it for the podcast. There's a lot more pressure and expectations, and I don't know if I'm ready for that yet. But we'll see.
We'll see. Potentially,
maybe
like
just like for one-offs for like special events. Yeah. Maybe like a Halloween.
When both me and Titus are tired,
a Christmas thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Cyber Monday thing. That's our thing now.
To everyone, super excited for Too Fast, Too Furious. Just to be clear, it's Too Fast, Too Furry. Just like in line with the series we're parodying. So will you be playing the same characters continuing the story? Of course we will be.
I cannot wait to play
I'm
Finnegan.
so excited to play Lucky.
The story will continue. If you've listened to it, there's the last episode of Fast and the Furriest. There's a hook about like what their next mission is or what their mission is through Danger Girl, and that's where we're picking up basically. So
yeah. This one's from Dr. Satan.
He's Dr.
Satan now. Dr. Satan RX. Discord, is the Fast and the Furriest a movie franchise in the TLB timeline, or is the TLB timeline a movie in the Fast and the Furriest timeline?
The first one.
The first one, I think. Yeah.
Really? I was like thinking about it, and I'm like, the stuff that happens in that, it's great radio, but it would make a weird movie.
I'm saying if it was,
we have big moments where we jump the car over.
But I mean, there's also the
shit.
moments where I'm sitting there trying to order a pizza.
Well, that's all cut. That's all.
Yeah,
we're
that's
just
all on the cutting room floor. Yeah. If we brought it down to like just the action.
Yeah.
And like
and the drama.
For 2.5 hours or however long those movies are.
Yeah.
But if it's one or the other, it's gotta be the first one. It wouldn't,
It wouldn't work.
TLB is like
TLB
way more.
Is not a movie.
It's way more grounded. It's way more grounded than Fast and the Furious.
Okay, Heartbreak Goth Pride asks.
Okay, so I want to talk about something that happened on the Discord for a second.
Yes, I noticed that. Yeah, I actually want to address this as well. Because the Goth Pride thing just got me thinking about this. Yeah. So why don't you lay it out, Sloan, and I'll respond. Because I'm in the hot seat right now.
Heartbreak was on the Discord was aghast at the same thing that I was, which was that Titus just completely dissed goth fashion. In the last episode, where he said that if you're pale, stay away from black as a color.
And dark colors.
Or dark colors.
Well, black is what I said, right?
Yeah.
So the thing, number one, the context for this is just a little bit about men's fashion that I know, and it's very like,
It doesn't account for like subcultures, obviously.
It does not account for subcultures. Again, I think countercultures like
counterculture.
goth is about breaking the rules and breaking the mold, right? I will also say that specific piece of advice only really comes because Barb has light hair. And so like people with dark hair can wear black as much as they like, right? And you know what? People can wear whatever they want. I'm not here to tell people how to dress, right?
No.
Yeah.
I just had to play a character that
was savvy about looks.
Fashion, and I just absorbed some bullshit that I heard on YouTube when I wanted to make like a capsule wardrobe to try to make myself look better. But look, fucking rock it, I think goths look great. I don't think I could pull it off because I just don't have the confidence.
Honestly, you know what I want is like a pastel goth look. I think for Barb that would work because the pastel look. I don't know.
Right. There's no rules.
Yeah.
There's no
So
rules.
it's
all jokes anyways.
Exactly.
I thought it was funny.
Yeah.
So good name, Heartbreak.
Yeah, I know. I love the
Goth
kind of meta.
Yeah.
It's really funny.
Let's
Here's
get
the
to
question.
Yeah.
Did the direction of book 3 change at all during the story? I feel like the imposter seemed to be less and less important as a theme as the story went on. Maybe that's just me though.
Yeah, I can see that, It's like, I guess I imagine the imposter as being like the whole twist that I wanted for book 3 was like you're the imposter.
Yeah, we kind of got there quicker, I guess, than we anticipated.
Yeah.
But I think it still rings true to the theme of the story.
Yeah, I mean, at some point you have to there had to be a resolution, so it became you have to escape this place before it falls apart.
But like
I guess in my
metaphorically,
head,
you have to escape your past too.
Yeah. So I guess I talked a bit about it, but for sure. I guess near the end, it was more just about like the necessary parts to getting the story moving. But. One thing that I think I could do better is like we've learned this thing through our game design of like having your themes written out on everything that you're working on and actually taking the time to like really nail down your themes. And I want to kind of bring that to the next thing I run. Yeah. So, but at the same time, it's hard to stay like keep control of these things,
again,
with all the different
like
things.
It goes off.
But yeah, I think the imposter became more of like the meta story than the actual story as it went on.
For sure.
Will we ever see more of Tiberius the Guard?
So I think that what's happened is Tiberius is now this gender fluid entity that will happen anytime like a low level nothing NPC starts critting their rolls.
Oh my god.
They will
Tiberius.
become Tiberius.
The like plain walking.
Tiberius is more an essence than just one NPC guard.
Yeah, they'll
He's
just
more
like
than
pull
that.
their mask off and it's like
It's Tiberius.
it's Tiberius. Yeah.
I could see it in their eyes.
Yeah.
Kaiju Core. Oh, I guess you're reading the next question.
Yeah, this one's from Kaiju Core. My question, mainly about the entire story, was the overarching story that involves the entire plot of Cal and Dana, the AI and the arcology and related stuff always planned as culminating in the successful simulation, hidden base, or hidden city finale that happened, or no? No, not really. I mean, you had to kind of like move. I just had to kind of think of what would be the progression of things as we went, And in book 1, the concept was there as this dangling thread. So I guess in that sense, I always left this dangling thread of like, if I need to continue with a story, there's like this juicy thing in the background of the story that I could pull on if I needed to do a sequel, but not
the second
really.
One, yeah, the second one's not sort of same stuff that we've kind of covered before.
Are there any
major changes? We've talked about that a lot.
Finally, a minor one, but was Newark supposed to be normally vertical or upside down? I got confused a little by them descending Hellman Tower, but the elevator's going up sometimes.
Yeah, it's the elevator thing coming back to bite me. But absolutely. So just to be clear, they're spires that come off of the ocean floor up into, they go up and there's a dome around it, which is the holographic dome. But yeah, I think we lost track of when I think I lost track of whether the elevator was going up or down, and we took an elevator to take another elevator, which is a
Yeah.
classic game design thing, which is perfectly viable thing to do. How many games have you played where you take an elevator to get to another elevator? It's just how things are built in the real world.
Yeah,
Multiple
for sure.
elevators. Get to floor 7 to take another elevator down again to another floor 3.
Bespoke elevators, yeah.
I admit it's confusing. Yeah.
Yeah. Zets. If the conversation that Barb had with her sister was never real, did they ever get support in the evacuation or any real contact with the outside? Any idea as to what was waiting for them on the surface?
I guess there was a little confusion there, but the conversation between Barb and Roxana was real.
Yeah.
It really did happen, but because it was over the data stream
It
and
was
with that
called into
connection,
question, yeah.
then the imposter Alloy was able to overhear it and mimic it in
Mm-hmm.
that moment. And I guess I sort of
Okay, gotcha.
I sort of did that, I guess, to kind of like throw everything into question.
Create
as,
some
like, a bit of-
ambiguity, yeah.
Create some ambiguity.
That was good, though.
But Roxana was waiting on the surface with the rest of the Daughters of the Storm.
For Titus or anyone else, how do you decide on what voice to do? And who should sound like what? Do you test them out or practice them before a session? No. Bonus points for answering in character.
Hello.
One of the numbers games, one of my favorites.
It's me. God, no. Like, I really should, you know?
Well, we did a bit for Finn and Lucky, I guess, but not for like Barb and
for
DP.
Lucky, I mean, for Finn, I picked a voice I knew I could
Yeah.
do because
For a long
I
period
do
of
it a
time.
lot, you know? But when you're GMing, like, a lot of characters just sound like me, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's impossible to... I'm going to try to maybe have more voices, but there are a lot of things I can't do. You know?
Yeah, we
That's
can't do
another,
accents.
That's another
really.
one that I would also like. I hope to do better about that in Too Fast, Too Furry, because I struggle with that as well. I would just feel like I defaulted a lot to just Woodbridge Italian accent because for a lot of the people, because I started doing it for the mob characters, and then it just kind of infected some of the other characters.
Well, I mean, I feel like it works for, like, Stanley.
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, for sure. But
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't decide on what voice to do other than Lucky. I just kind of, Barb is just my voice. Really?
This one's from BCP.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, dear DFD. First of all, I want to say that yes, the OG Titus fans do exist. I like your dry humor and your storytelling, both of which have hooked me to this show. So when we talk about the OG Titus fans, we're actually we're not talking about you. We're talking about a very...
we're not talking
we're
about the
talking
good
about the
fans.
good
That,
fans.
like,
No,
just
we're
like
talking-
Titus for who he is.
Yeah,
What?
because when we talk about the OG Titus fans, what we're talking about is like really early on. And I mean really
when we
early
were putting
on.
them on YouTube, and
Yeah.
like we get comments saying, "Whoa, Titus is like such a good storyteller," and Sloan and Lindsay are just messing it up for him.
Yeah.
There was
And
a lot of...
Yeah.
there was a lot of just like downplaying mine and Sloan's
Yeah.
like contributions to the podcast.
Or just writing this narrative that I'm like this, like
You're
I'm
a
like
genius or
this telling
something?
some super serious story, and then like the comedy's messing it up. Like we weren't intending for this to be kind of funny. Like
It's like, no, we
all.
were always intending this to be
this is
funny.
just a silly thing we're doing.
It's the same kind of comment where someone assumed that we scripted all of this.
Not, yeah.
What
like,
world are you living in?
first of all, thank you so much for saying that, though.
Yeah.
But like that you like that stuff about what
Your
I
writing,
do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You're
it's
one of the
awesome.
good ones. You're not the ones that we talk about.
Yeah.
when we're- yeah.
BCP, you're not like those people. Those
Yeah.
people we basically
They left.
They
pruned
filtered
out.
out.
Yeah,
I think Fast and the Furious got rid of them.
They eventually realized that Titus wasn't the secret fucking genius trying to
Yeah.
tell his story.
Yeah.
Probably while you were playing Finn.
Right. For sure.
Anyway, here's my questions.
Yeah, Mr. GM referee. In the conclusive encounter in the final episode, were Barb and DP ever in lethal danger? As GM, at what point would you count this encounter successful, and how happy are you in retrospect with the chapter? Barb and DP story wrap up. So I guess answering it backwards again, you know, I talked about it like that. I go back and forth about how I feel about it, you know, like I think that there's parts that were really successful and there's parts I could have done better, to be honest, right? And I guess it depends on my mental health at the time, how I feel about how successful it was.
Yeah.
That other question's kind of interesting because, there got to a point where this is like the story was bigger than just playing a game, right?
Or
and
encounters,
we felt like, that we had a responsibility to end it in a meaningful way, right? And so how, like, to kill even if I didn't intend to kill Barb and DB, it could have happened at any moment. That's just the way Cyberpunk works. We could have just rolled something. And
I was
intending.
Like,
yeah, we were teetering a
just
lot.
a really good hit for DP could have been it for him. So it was really. Our
HP was so low for most of book 3.
I was really
insane.
sweating because at one point I decided, like, I have to make this harder, and so you had an encounter where you got the shit kicked out of you. And then we were paying for it. Like, we were just on the edge the whole time.
Yeah.
So at one point when I count the encounter successful, it just seemed like there was a place where you guys had gotten to, and we also had the time constraints that we wanted to, wrap this up. So I just thought that's enough, like I could have, a lot of times with encounters, I don't have like an end goal where I'm like, this is successful, as much as I'm trying to look for narratively when we can exit out of it, because we can't just be in like a firefight for 3 hours or something like that. But it's something that, it's difficult to struggle with, I think, when you're running a game, and also it's a podcast with an audience.
Yeah, people are invested in Barb and DP, and I think if DP just got like a stray bullet to the head and that was it for him, it would be
in like
pretty
some
unsatisfying.
really unceremonious way, right?
That'd be pretty rough. But I know Titus, and I know that if I did something really foolish, you wouldn't hold back.
Yeah.
You would be like, okay, well, this character has to attack you.
Yeah.
So and if that went poorly, we're all very like we don't bend the rules much in when we play. I know some people, when they're doing actual plays, will kind of be like, okay, well,
plot armor.
Plot armor is we try to keep it pretty close to the rules. So we it definitely could have happened, I think.
Yeah.
From my perspective.
For sure. And that is true about me. But I am kind of like beholden to that, like, well, this is what would logically happen in this situation.
Yeah, for sure.
I think when you're a referee, I think is a nice way of putting it, because you're just kind of like the arbiter of like, sorry, like, don't be mad at me, but you get shot if you did that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Finally, thanks to y'all for making the podcast. I look forward to every single episode, and I feel much like you. It's kind of sad to say goodbye to Barb and DP, but at the same time, I also feel like their story should come to a close now. I'm very excited for your new characters and for the Fast and the Furriest interlude.
Oh, well, that's just a nice comment.
Yeah,
this is just, you're like one of the great fans, We get to the point where we only have good fans by just ignoring the rest.
Sure.
Yeah.
Casper asks, what would have happened if Barbara DP just went, well, I guess the numbers are right, and got on a quest to blow everything up? Would they have awoken from the fish dream that I cling to, all this all still being? Is a fish dreaming of me somewhere? Thanks, Titus.
God, I love you, Casper. You're the best. You always put a smile on my face.
Yeah. Oh my God.
We would have fucking blown up, probably.
We probably. I have to speak for Barb. Barb doesn't fall for tricks, really. She's not the kind of person.
Barb was pretty no bullshit.
Yeah. Barb was pretty no bullshit. She wanted nothing to do with the numbers. As soon as they introduced themselves, she was like, yes, some bullet fodder for me, basically. So I don't know if that would have ever been. Maybe DP could have fallen for it.
Yeah, there was definitely times in his drug addict
But I mean, you would have
state.
blown up the thing.
Yeah.
It's like what I explained with the wires and the meat.
There's nothing going on.
Yeah.
This is just bullshit.
The mystique is completely gone.
I'm sorry, Casper. I do like the idea, I am kind of, always as a kid was creeped out by the row, row, row your boat song, because if life is just a dream, what the hell do you mean by that?
Yeah.
So I get where you're coming from.
Next question.
This is from, help me out.
Sproy?
Sproy. This is from Sproy. Is there a specific moment where you remember falling in love with your character, and how do you feel about not playing them anymore? I guess this is for both of you.
I think I don't know. It's hard to say.
I think I have one.
I think I realized I really liked playing Barb when she was able to just throw the walkie-talkie into the river. It was a very satisfying moment for me.
I think another one that you talked about at the time was when you cut off the guy's arm
Oh
who
my
touched your bike.
God, yes. It was at a time when my bike had been stolen for the second time.
Yeah.
In real life.
In
In
my
real
life. Never
Bicycle,
fucking...
not motorbike. Yeah.
Yeah, bicycle. Never have a bike in Toronto. It's awful.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was really, like, I was triggered when someone touched my fantastical bike. And I was like, no, time to go off.
Yeah.
I think for me, it was when DP like talked to Chinwei, another fixer, and was like, when you're a fixer, do you feel like everything's falling apart and you have no control over what you're doing at any time? And she was just like, that's every job. And then he like has this like exasperation, and then where he's like, oh, thank God. And that part, I think I really liked the character being this like, just trying to get by, kind of no confidence in himself kind of character.
I definitely feel like there's so many things like that were different about book one that it's hard to illustrate for me because I came from like when I was role play as a teenager with other, teenage boys, they weren't interested in that kind of stuff, in that kind of the meaty kind of story stuff.
Or the interpersonal drama.
Or being able to like, it was like a power fantasy. So to have a character like be like, you're so much better at this than I am, right? In like a really meaningful and interesting story way.
Yeah.
At first I felt like I'm doing something wrong because the player character is supposed to feel powerful, right? But then I was also like,
it's interesting.
oh Jesus, this is like a different entity than what we did. Like this, like in a lot of ways, like
it opens it up to tell different kinds of stories.
Yeah, and in a lot of ways, we like build this as like one experienced GM takes two newbies through a game, but this is the first time I've done anything like this as well, So I fell in love with the characters when they were able to be like vulnerable in a way that I never seen. I've never ran a game and allowed to happen and the awkwardness too, just of every encounter.
We don't know how to say goodbye. It's a rule.
Yeah.
So Cupcake asks, question for Titus, what does TLB stand for?
I think we've covered that.
I thought we covered that.
Totally legitimate business.
Of course. And more seriously,
that's what it was a joke. Yeah.
Where do you draw most of your inspiration as a writer?
That's a tough one. A lot of like broken bad ideas. I think like you end up like I think that like I don't really get I sort of get inspired in a way by like good media, but I really get inspired by like failed media because I'm sort of obsessed like with that where I'm like there's something there that if like you can like and you have to I think as a writer you have to steal from somewhere. And so you steal from like I like to steal from the garbage.
It's not stealing if it's garbage.
Yeah, because people threw it out, right?
One person's trash is another treasure.
No one's gonna be like everyone will fucking call you out if you like, oh, like I know that's from Blade
Matrix,
Runner. You know what I mean? Or that's from the Matrix. But if you can find something where there was like a smart idea but it was executed poorly because they didn't have the budget or something,
or the vision.
Or the vision, then I often like to take it from that. And I think also we talked about this, it's just a lot of like the preoccupations. Like I became obsessed with the idea of dolls when I was working on making like these layouts where I had to like move around CGI characters. And so I was like, oh, this like interesting idea of like this, what is this? Like these dead-eyed characters that I'm just putting into position that will like kind of map out how we'll do like a good drawing. This isn't for anything.
The gray box phase.
Yeah, the gray box phase of our video game, right? Yeah. So a lot of times it's a way to vent the shit that you're dealing with on a day-to-day basis, in something like a role-playing experience.
For Lindsay, how similar are you to Barb? If you were cast to play her in a movie, would it be a typecast? I think, like I mentioned earlier, I am very similar to Barb in certain respects. Just like in the honor kind of department and like just going for things without thinking a lot. I do jump into a lot of things in life. Sometimes to like regret.
I think you also have a really strong like idea of what's
moral
wrong,
compass,
moral
yeah.
compass, what's
Yeah.
wrong and right, and you're not
yeah.
afraid to say when you think something
I
has
speak
crossed
up.
that line. Yeah.
For sure. But there are other ways where I'm not similar.
You're not violent.
I'm not violent, and I actually want to have friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not like Barb where I just don't suffer bullshit. I
You
do
laugh a lot
suffer a
more
lot of
than
bullshit.
Yeah, I mean-
Barb. You don't take yourself as
She's
seriously.
friends with
Yeah.
me, so clearly she suffers bullshit.
And I also do not take myself seriously at
No.
all. But I think, yeah, I could be typecast as that kind of character for sure. I think it just plays into a lot of strengths. And I think a lot of the way people perceive me in life, people perceive me as a Barb for some reason. Like they think I'm really cold and calculating or like
Really?
I'm not. Yeah, I've gotten standoffish as a first impression. I've gotten like intimidating.
Who says this to you?
People I ask, like I used to
says
work in a
this?
kitchen
Okay,
and with
I'm
other
so-
line cooks, and I would ask them like, "What was your first impression of
Really?
me?" Just out of curiosity. And yeah, I got like standoffish, intimidating, and like sometimes I get shy, that's fair. I am very shy, but
Right.
like. I'm not gonna like bite your head off if I just met you. It's like
No.
really strange to me when
It's
people
those
get
other
that.
qualities that, like the fact that you stand by your morals and
Yeah,
stuff like that.
and
That
I-
I think people will see that and they
and
don't.
they're intimidated
They
by
don't
it or
see your
something.
sense of humor right away, I guess,
No.
or something. I don't know.
No, and like sometimes I don't see it. Like I've often found that the biggest surprise for me when listening back is just the low key jokes that
Oh my
Lindsay
God,
makes.
that just
Oh,
slipped
Lindsay
by
will
and
just
no one
slip
gets.
by.
Just like,
Toss a
just like
joke
you're
under
just sort of
there.
saying these things, and we're just moving on. But when I'm listening to it, it gets me so much. And
Yeah.
It's really funny.
Okay, and for Sloan, how did you get your start in music and composing? Did you start with classical music?
Classical.
No.
Did you start with classical?
Or were you always more contemporary?
It's kind of
classically trained
complicated.
pianist, right?
I actually did
On your toes.
do piano lessons from when I was 5 until I was 12.
Really? I didn't know
yes.
that. Huh.
Really?
You
Oh,
got
yeah.
to level three or something. didn't you?
Yeah, I
You're
was like
pretty
pretty good
far.
at piano back then, weirdly, and I was just not into playing classical music. I just never, even now, I still don't like learning songs, and that
You
was
don't
kind of.
you don't approach it from like notes or theory or technicality. You approach
No,
it from feeling.
I also am, I have a learning disability, so reading sheet music is just like not an option for me. So that was just hard for me to continue as playing classical stuff like that. So I quit, and then I later when I graduated high school, I got into playing guitar, and I was in a band for a while.
I mean,
And
yeah.
my
Just to
dad.
give you a picture of Sloane's like being in a band, but also not being that confident person in a band. I remember in
Yeah.
college you were like, here's the brochure. My band's gonna be playing at this thing, and I was
On
like,
the
oh, like the street lights, and you're like, yeah, the name's not very good.
just like immediately just
Totally,
downplaying it.
I was
You
we're
hated
actually
it.
not that great. I was like,
I was
wow,
like,
really selling me on this
selling
idea.
the idea
I
of
don't
going
think
to
I'll
see
make
it.
it. You know?
I was already ready to quit.
Yeah.
But, the when I started making when I got a guitar, I immediately started recording music myself, and before I could barely play any chords, I would start making music because I just really enjoy that side of it. And eventually, my dad bought me a microphone, audio interface, and copy of Cubase, which is just a recording software, and I just went wild
from
with that.
there.
And then from there, it's just been, all kinds of learning and trying to get better.
You're definitely more contemporary.
Kind of
than
like
any-
skipping over
More
like,
contemporary,
I think,
yeah.
like the whole idea that I think we really put you through the grinders to have to do
Oh,
like
yeah.
music for our animation.
Like,
Yeah.
You were just
composing.
It was like, okay, well, you know how to do music, so you're
you're
the one
the
that's going to have to do this.
Yeah.
I
right?
had to learn. Is the difference between writing songs for like rock
album?
band
Yeah.
or an album or folk music or something like that, which I was doing more before, and then learning how to compose something for a reason. You're
Yeah.
not just
Like for a
putting your feelings
scene.
into a song. You're
Yeah.
like, we need something tense
Yeah.
here. So definitely was a learning curve there when I was writing for some of our old content, and for the podcast itself, I definitely learned a lot about composing through trying to work with make music for the podcast.
Okay, down to a question that was emailed to me. This one, it breaks up into different questions for us. So this one's for me first. Was it challenging to
it?
switch? Oh,
Psychic
sorry.
Jester.
This is from Psychic Jester. Was it challenging to switch from an NPC to the next, especially during the finale? I can't imagine what it was like having to switch from someone who dislikes DP and Barb and to someone who is friendly with them in a few seconds. I think when I have like two modes. When you're just talking to one NPC, I can really just like get inside their head. And when it's like a scene where there's a bunch of people, I'm more like thinking about like logistically as like a overseer, like, well, this person would do this then, and this person would do this then,
Gotcha.
So I definitely like I like it when I can just like get inside an NPC. So I think the more personal the interactions, the more it works for that. But yeah, I mean, so it's not difficult because I'm not like an actor. I'm not like taking on that whole thing. I'm just like, they'd be pissed off, so I'm going to say something,
Yeah.
But
Gotcha.
it is challenging. I think the
Yeah.
more NPCs you have in a scene, the more challenging it gets immediately. So this one's for Lindsay. Since you're a player in both campaigns, I'd like to ask, what you know about Barb and Lucky. Would they get along?
No, I don't think so. I think Lucky's too brazen and Barb's too reserved. Barb
Yeah.
would just be exhausted by Lucky, I think.
This one I think I know. Speaking of Barb and Lucky, who do you think would win in a fight?
Oh, we did this for our last barbecue. It turned out to be No, who won?
No, Barb and
Barb
Sleazy Chan had a
and
fight.
Sleazy Chan
Oh,
had a
so
fight.
it wasn't lucky.
It wasn't
Okay.
Lucky.
But who won on that side?
Barb won. Yeah.
Yeah. so
Barb would win too.
I think Barb would win.
Barb would
Lucky's
win.
not a solo. She's like a 5'2" like rabbit person.
She's
Nomad.
She's
Nomad.
a nomad.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
her skills are driving.
Her skills
not
are in driving,
combat.
not in
Yeah.
combat. So yeah, and Barb is like a 6'2" like beast.
Yeah, she's a killer.
Solo, like trained merc. So
And they wouldn't fight.
No.
Because they wouldn't have a reason to.
I don't think
They
so.
wouldn't
either.
like each other, but
But they just move in different circles. I think.
what is the thing about either Barb and Lucky that you most identify with?
So with Barb, I kind of
You
went
covered
into
that.
it with the moral compass stuff. With Lucky, it's more of the rash decision and like the boasting and brazen personality.
Yeah,
I
for
love
sure. And
I
dunking
love-
on people.
and dunking on
Yeah,
people.
I've
It's definitely my
been
thing.
The recipient of some of those
I'll-
luckiest.
But here's the thing: I'll only dunk on you if like I know and like you. That's my thing. I'm not gonna do it to like anyone. So when
I
I do
should
that
feel
to
honored
you,
then.
yeah,
Yeah.
you should be honored.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, that's basically what I'm getting out of playing Lucky. It's a lot of fun, actually.
For sure.
Yeah.
Now this one is for Sloan. What is the thing about DP that you most identify with?
Yeah, I kind of talked a bit about before, just like having, just like feeling like you don't know what you're doing and feeling like you're kind of, having low self-esteem and just like not really, and using humor as a defense mechanism, stuff like that. So I definitely identify with that part of DP the most, I think.
And here's a question. Do you think Titus did a good job of imitating DP as Dark DP?
As Dark DP. Yeah, I noticed it. So yes,
I think he did a great job.
As soon as you started talking, it's the mannerisms.
It's the mannerism.
I know that the way I talk is very roundabout.
Very stilted, too.
I wasn't making fun of you, Sloan. I was making fun of DP.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure.
We just know each other too well, you know?
Yeah.
Well, I do think that I do talk differently when I'm trying to be DP because DP is usually kind of a little bit more braggadocious than I am.
You speak with a lot more definitive.
Yeah.
Definitive.
I find it
So, like, here's the thing, you
yeah.
know?
Like, in a way, you don't speak it.
As soon as
what
you
I-
started doing that, like, you said, here's the thing,
Here's
and, you
the
know,
thing,
and,
you
like,
know,
so basically,
so-
I'm like, fuck off. You got me. You got me.
What I tried to, the thing that I latched onto is that you're brazen at some points, and
but
then
then
you
you
kind
walk
of
it back.
get to a cul-de-sac, walk it back, and then you kind of like, it just turns into this thing where you go back and forth
With
between
yourself.
Those, like, yeah,
Basically.
you're basically having an argument with yourself.
While trying to convince
while
someone
trying
of
to convince someone of something, which is like not the traditional way of convincing somebody of something.
I think that's the part of that is intentional as humor
Yeah,
because I
for
just
sure.
love the idea of just like I think it's always funny when someone doesn't really know what they're doing and just acts like they do and then realizes
They-
no, I
oh,
don't
I
know,
have
I don't
no
know.
idea.
But seriously, like I don't know what I'm talking about. But no, we really got to do
But we
this.
got to
like,
do
the
this. I just
confusion,
know we have to
I
do
think
this thing.
that level of confusion I think is funny sometimes.
Yeah,
so.
for sure. Okay, what was your favorite awkward moment in all three books? Let's talk about awkward moments.
This is for everyone.
Yeah, for everyone, for the whole team.
Awkward moments. There's so many though.
There's so many.
Yeah.
I think.
Maybe the one that you were talking
when
about before.
Barb
Where,
jumped into the water.
yeah.
When we were ambushed at the docks.
That was a really good one.
It was so. I was like cringing, but I was also just like dying laughing at how awkward it was.
Yeah, that might be one of my favorite ones overall. I think like there's something kind of magical about my first interaction with Sleazy Chan because it was really awkward in that like
Yeah.
I was trying to like we've hired this person but then all of a sudden she's like done all this stuff for us already and
Yeah.
trying to figure out if she's actually legit and she's really acting like she is but I don't trust her at
you
all.
rolled like a 30 on human perception on her.
Oh,
at
that
one
was
point.
later on.
Yeah, that was later on.
But yeah,
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah.
Oh, also one last one, when in book 3 when Sleazy Chan flashed her Dom gear at Alloy Night. I imagine that was pretty awkward in the
For the characters.
for the
yeah.
characters, and
Yeah.
then also the fact that Alloy was just like, I top sometimes or whatever.
It's like, okay,
Yeah.
you don't have to try. and
I really
convince
like
us.
that awkward moment. That was
Yeah.
fun.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, I think that the psychic gesture already mentioned the one that I freaking love. With
Yeah,
Barb.
I wanted to add a few. I think from this book, the whole thing with Merminda was great for me. I thought that was really funny.
God,
It was just so annoying. It's just fun to. And from book 2, this one maybe not my favorite, but we've talked about a lot of the other ones, and this one could easily kind of get swept under the radar. But when DP was caught by TLB LTD security while looking, while spying on people and watching them like
Oh my god, in the boat.
in the boat,
Right,
and
you
you
look
had
like
to,
a top.
and you came up with the lie that like you were spying,
spying
on
on
your
my girlfriend or
girlfriend.
something.
Yeah,
He's
So
doing
weird.
like a striptease or something in the next boat or
I
something.
felt so weird about that afterwards. I was like, why did I say that? It's so bad.
And then from book 1, when you were upset at the prisoner that you didn't know and threatened to pee on them,
Oh my god, yeah!
and it turned out to be
Another
Yeah, my
thing,
sister
I didn't. I
Deborah.
never did it.
You threatened to.
I threatened to, and then
Yeah.
immediately walked it back because I was like,
Yeah.
"That's gross.
Actually,
no,
no, I'm not
I would
gonna
never
do
do that.
that."
That's really bad."
Yeah.
that was hilarious though. That was so awkward.
Oh, and also, Psychic Jester talked about the time that Benihara refused to make a drink for DP. That was pretty funny because it was like, "What drink will you want to drink?" And then I asked for this like complicated drink, and
Complicated
he
It
was
was like with
no.
a twist, right?
"Yeah," and he's like, "No,
No.
I'm
like,
not gonna
just
make it
no."
for
I'm
you.
not making
That was
that
really
for you.
funny.
What happened to the emergency card that Lieutenant
Lieutenant
Watanabe
Watanabe.
gave Barb and DP? I don't recall them ever using it. Yeah, it was just a trauma team card. You never used it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
There's many cards that weren't ever
Yeah,
put to use.
it's- One of the lost famous, there's probably like a It would be a great list of all the key cards that were just left just in a pile.
Who knows what those open?
Yeah.
I thought it was great that
That DP still.
Dark DP had one on him.
Yeah.
That killed me.
It's like, that's a key to who knows what.
Yeah, that was so real.
Was Omega DP the original DP or an earlier clone? An earlier clone.
Yeah, I think it was an
We
early.
talked
Yeah,
about that.
yeah.
Original DP is gone.
Yeah,
Like long
they were
gone.
all they were in the wreck of the damsel.
Yeah.
All dead.
God. Yeah. And I guess, will you make any games for Android?
No.
Don't have any plan to?
That's
We don't have
not
any
really
plan
our
to.
thing.
That's how I'll say it.
Mobile
We
gaming
make-
is difficult to.
Yeah,
bring.
we don't really
it's,
like-
It's hard to make the kind of games that we like to make on mobile
Android.
and have them stand out. It's really not the market for it. I think
No.
it's changing, but it's
There's not a lot there that
people-
we want to work with.
I think that
Interested in
the only
working
way
with.
I would see it happening is if we had a simple enough game that was successful enough that, like,
could
you
port
know,
it
like
to
they did
mobile.
Stardew
Yeah.
Valley on mobile. Now,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
so
yeah.
there might be a situation like that, but I don't think we'd ever design a game for
For-
mobile.
No.
console.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Is that it for questions?
Yeah, that's
wow,
it.
we did it, everybody.
got
Amazing.
through it.
Okay.
I hope that was good for everybody.
Yeah.
So right
I'll-
before we get into what we're doing next, we have our old character sheets. Should
Oh
we just
yeah,
go
let's
over
go
those
through
really
the
quickly?
old character sheets.
Okay.
I
We'll
just
try and
want
be
to go
real
through the
quick about
life
it.
path specifically.
Yeah, we'll go over the life path because, yeah, like I said, this episode's going a little long, so we'll try and keep it quick, and then we'll get to what's coming next. Okay, I'll start with mine, I guess.
Yeah.
So DP's original one, for some reason at the top I just have a note saying hacker and then a phone number. So that
It
might
was
be
a note for
that might be
the campaign.
that's in the
Sloan's
life
notes
life
are
pack.
just
Oh,
comedy.
they're everywhere.
in
And they're so
themselves.
nonsense.
They're so bad. I should post a picture of one of
Yeah.
them. So life path style: blue jeans, hair tinted,
Green tinted.
affectations, mirror shades, authenticity, Hawaiian language.
Ethnicity.
Yeah, you got that authentic. You're authentically Hawaiian.
Authentically
Yeah.
Hawaiian. Ethnicity Hawaiian and language Hawaiian. That's another language I know apparently and never used it.
No.
No.
Family background, gang family, living parents. So I have both of my parents are alive, and I inherited family debt.
Yeah.
And grew up in a dome city. So I feel like the inherited family debt really did play an actual role,
Yeah.
Oh,
which
for
is
sure.
one of the very few things on the.
The Dome
It
City
did.
did too. You know.
Yeah, so
Came
yeah,
up
it
a
did
couple of
sort of.
times.
I should have brought that up in book 3.
Well, in book 2, it was also like Hillman showed you a vision of you leaving Honolulu. you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
So we did cover that. So far so good.
Yeah, so far so good. Now here we go to motivations, traits.
Yeah, traits.
Stable, serious.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's how we would describe DP, right? Stable and serious.
There's a bit of a diversion there. Valued person, a parent.
Yeah.
The
So
mother,
that's
yeah.
my mom. Yeah,
Yeah.
I definitely.
Mama's boy.
I definitely tried to follow that up a lot. Definitely in book 2.
Yeah.
And some in book 3. Most valued thing. The thing I value most is love.
Wow, that didn't come up at all.
No, I think you
really.
can kind of
Not-
see it underneath it all, where I really wanted to be around family,
Yeah,
friends,
familial
and family.
love. I
Yeah.
could see.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, but
anytime
not like-
someone
no
flirted
romantic.
with
No.
with DP,
No.
wasn't having it.
No.
Feel about people, neutral. I think that's pretty accurate. Yeah. Valued possession, letter, and that one also came
Yeah,
up
for sure.
with in book 2.
So just your personality is just way out there.
Yeah, that just could not make
Yeah.
it him serious or stable.
Yeah.
Stable.
Okay, so this is life events.
Events.
Came into debt for 700, I guess.
Eurobucks.
Eurobucks. That's it.
That was all.
That's all.
No, I think
You could have paid that off immediately.
no.
that must be another.
I think
debt.
it's the family debt. There's more of it somewhere
Yeah.
else.
Okay.
So childhood friend hates me. This is the way I write notes, apparently.
Oh, childhood friend hates me.
There's one part that I don't know. Oh, wants to backstab, but it's got nothing.
Yeah, it's like, I
got
love that
nothing.
part when you have someone that hates you but they can't do anything, about it. Yeah.
Powerful connection with the DA. I forgot about that. Happy love affair. So I had a happy love affair at
Yeah.
19. At 20, I had a government official that hated me, and I hated him for hurting you're hurting each other's rep. So we hurt each other's rep.
We talked
and
about this
hated that.
one. We actually ended up. It was the idea that you went into business together and it fell apart.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and that kind of ruined that relationship.
Yeah.
That did come into play. I gave that speech to Clarice or something where I was just like, don't let your the business get in the way of your that whole thing.
Yeah.
So I pulled that out of my ass. Let's see. So had a rough time at 16 to 17, then started making connections. Had a good time at 18, made friends with the DA. I guess this is my summary.
Right.
He introduced me to the government official, found love, lived the high life, lost it all when a deal went bad with the government official. Dad lost all money in a bet, got crippling debt. Oh.
You got the crippling debt.
Yeah, I got the crippling debt. Now I hate him, but I'm helping to get out of it for my mom.
Yeah, and I think the relationship, we also talked about how it fell apart because of all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, pretty good.
Pretty
Other
good.
than, you made a different decision on how the character would act. And I think that's totally fair, right?
Yeah. It's hard to just...
Yeah.
I would imagine just
I was
playing him
expecting
serious.
it to be way different. But
Yeah.
let's get to Barb's, because I bet...
So, life path, style, clothes, bag lady chic. That is pretty accurate to my first one.
Yeah,
not
for
to
sure.
my new one. Hair, mohawk, affectations, ritual scars. Yes.
Yeah.
Ethnicity, check, and language check as well.
Yeah.
Family background, pirate fleet. Yes, we stayed true to that. Red Sun Pacific, apparently it was called.
Oh.
That never came up.
Yeah, that didn't come up. Exiled, parents died in warfare, aquatic pirate pack. That's all that says. Siblings,
Your parents died in warfare, and
Yeah.
and that's where Uncle Grigor came in.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
siblings,
we did. Yeah.
one brother, and
Never saw the brother.
no, and two sisters. One, I had a plus heart with the brother, and one plus heart with the sister, and one negative heart with the sister.
You had kind of a rough relationship, I think it was with Deborah.
Deborah,
and then,
yeah.
You had
good
your
one with
Roxana
Roxana.
looked up to you.
Yeah.
I think because you were the
Older.
middle child.
I'm the middle child. Oh,
Yeah.
I have middle child syndrome.
I think you were middle child. Yeah.
Motivations, traits, arrogant, proud, and aloof. Definitely aloof and maybe
Really?
arrogant, but not proud. I would
Aloof
say.
for sure.
Okay,
yeah,
yeah,
aloof
fair
for
enough.
sure.
I think I wouldn't call it arrogance, but I could see how someone who hated you might,
Yeah. Valued person, personal hero, Samba.
That was just stupid.
That was a
There was
stupid inside
there's like
joke.
no way that I could
Make that
weave
work.
Right
that
there.
into a story. So yeah, we have this thing that was really funny when we started, which was the concept of knockoff Disney movies.
One of them would be Samba.
Samba the Leon,
Loin King.
The Loin King. So I don't know why. This is what we went with.
This is
Yeah.
what happens when you think that your character is going to die in two
Two
episodes.
episodes.
You just make their most valued person
a fake joke.
A joke character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Value most, honor. Yeah, I stayed true to that.
Hmm.
Feel about people, neutral.
Yeah.
Valued possession, musical instrument. Right, my harmonica.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
came back.
Okay, so my life events. 16, I was reconnected with childhood friend. 17, made friends with old enemy.
That was that one we never
No.
went with anything on that.
18, hunted by a major corp.
That was Militech.
Militech.
That never came up as
No.
a story. They just weren't. We didn't have a lot of Militech and
No. 19, connected with older sister. That kind of changed to being the present.
yeah.
20, gang likes me. +2 to booster gangs.
We never-
And then
That never came
That
up
never
either.
came up.
no,
either,
and then
yeah.
21, Nomad Pack loves me. +2 to Nomad.
I guess you could call that the Daughters of the Storm, maybe.
But that all happened in story.
Yeah.
This was just stuff that Barb started with.
22, one night stands. That's it. That's
I
all
remember that you were supposed to be a loner and aloof and
And you were the one
and
you
exiled,
got way more
and
action
everyone
than
liked
friends.
a lot more
you. Yeah,
friends and
that was so
allies.
funny.
So that's how we came up with the concept of the hitman with the heart of gold, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah, that's so interesting.
Anyways, it's fun to look back, but time to look forward.
Okay, yeah.
What are we doing next? Obviously, and the furries will come back in the shape of Too Fast, Too Furry. Like we said before, we'll be continuing the story from where we left off. So very excited for that. Not much to say about it, I guess, other than
No spoilers.
It's coming, and I'm very excited.
Yeah. So first of all, as we said, the story of Barb and DP, and I think what we'd call the main cast of NPCs, Aoi Knight and Sleazy Chan, it's resolved and it's over. There was something where somebody, I think it was Casper, was talking about, will this remain in the same universe? And I think that it will. That certain things will carry over, I guess. I like the idea of building this universe over time. So I want to do that, but it is a kind of a fresh start. There was also a lot of questions about Patreon NPCs, and I think that what I'm going to do is, because it's contained within the same universe but a fresh start, I think I'm going to leave it up to the individual patron whether they want to create a new character, or whether they want to have this be, that character relocated to a new location and started a new life after the incident, because this will take place a few years after the whole Newark incident. And then there's also, I don't know how much we want to talk about it, but we have been talking, I guess, about some concepts and some types of characters that you would want to play. What do you guys feel confident talking about?
Yeah, say that it's going to be more of a detective story.
Yeah. There's going to be mystery, maybe even more noir.
Yeah, so sort of that vibe. And that's what you have talked about. And we're thinking of you want to homebrew a detective class
role. Yeah.
If one of you want, I think that'd be the best way to create like a detective. So we're gonna make our own role that is like a private detective, and we're
eyeing me to be the detective. So I'm fine with that, as long as I'm just not like a solo again. Is my thing.
I don't think we're gonna have a solo in this story, because it's less about using force to get your way. I think that's kind of key to the detective story.
I also felt that I had been playing sort of a detective in DP, at least early on. I chose the Fixer class because it was the closest to that. So I felt like, okay, well, it's time. I'll play maybe a different kind of character, and Lindsay can play the kind of the person asking the questions. And my idea for what I might be is a rocker
boy,
rocker girl, and she will be a screenwriter who is writing about detectives,
and is shadowing
Lindsay's character and trying to learn about it. And I thought that
gets in over her head,
and has a history of success, but is maybe down on her luck. We haven't talked too much about it, but I have to be renowned, I guess, for the role to work.
We'll do we'll probably definitely do like a session 0 that we'll record for everybody. And as for the setting, I'm still kind of playing with different options, but it's going to be a casino town. Kind of like a tourist trap area, not the big one. It's not going to be Las Vegas. It's going to be one of the smaller ones, and it's gonna have a kind of a noir vibe, I think. And I think in terms of structure, we're gonna try to base it around the cases and make it a little more episodic, with like a continuing story and continuing cast of characters in the city that grows as we go. And maybe there will be a bigger mystery that will reveal itself over the course of things, but we're going to kind of like, give it time.
Start with just, solving one case at a time and seeing how that goes. I think it sounds, I'm very excited about it. I hope you are too. It's a little ways away. Obviously, we're doing Fast and the Furriest first.
It might not be till next year. Probably.
We'll have to see how many episodes Too Fast, Too Furry will be, because I'm always meaning for it to be shorter.
Yeah.
But I'd like this one to be more around 10 to 15 episodes, but if it goes to 20, it might have to. I don't know.
We will see, I guess.
Yeah.
And so, that's the tentative plan on on putting things together. And I think with some of the time, we'll try to make some fun things that so that the community can get involved in filling out the world a little bit. So we'll try to have that going as well.
Yeah.
And hopefully you're interested in something like that. And I think one of the advantages of it is that, we'll be able to have the kind of ticking time bomb thing of like solving the case. But then I also want to play out a little bit of stuff between the cases.
The downtime.
Yeah,
that'd be interesting.
To give you guys characters time to do the interpersonal stuff and to develop the bigger story or the side stories of your characters as you go.
Awesome. Yeah, very looking forward to it.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a fun time. And I hope that you tune in for Too Fast, Too Furry. I got some fun ideas in the pod for
We're
that
gonna
one.
have a lot of fun with that one.
And
I've also got some fun ideas for where I want to take Finn that we've been talking about, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
So tune in. We'll keep you posted on when the episode is coming. This one might take a couple weeks to come out, so we're sorry if it's not out as fast as other episodes, because we are trying out hiring an editor. So if that works out, thank you so much to our editor, Alakazam, and also thank you to our Patreon producers, Ether Sphinx, Sets, Electropiano, and Sherifend, and Myrrh.
Yeah, and thank you to everyone that's stuck with us through this crazy adventure that we've been on, and please continue to do so, because we've got lots of stories to tell, in this overall dark universe.
Yes.
And the fans and the support that we've had for this project have been really just life-changing and amazing. It's really hard to get back into the mentality of where we were as people when we started this, because so much has changed,
So
in
much
the
has
world
changed,
and with ourselves and with the group, with the project. And a lot of it for the better, not maybe in the world so much, but with us, and with the community and with the project. And we just want to continue doing this because we love it. And if you get some enjoyment out of it, then that's enough for us,
Absolutely. Things change, but the podcast goes on.
Yeah.
And this time, what I want to do with the new project is to come up with a very simple naming convention. So,
no books. No more books.
So we won't stumble through every.
Chapter 1.
So it's book 3,
intro.
chapter 5, The Imposter.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And you can, as always, follow us at Rocket Adrift on Twitter for updates about our future stories and our video game updates, as well as you can join our Discord. It's invite only, so you'll have to @us or email us for our messages in some way for the invite code.
Yeah. And speaking of that video game, if you haven't already, go check out Cychroma, our upcoming game. It's announced on Steam. You can go wishlist it there to keep an eye on when it comes out and any future sales after that. So, go ahead and watch the trailer, read the description. We think you're going to like it. It's a horror cyberpunk pixel side scroller. And also you can, buy our previous game, Raptor Boyfriend, if you want to support us in that way and are interested in a goofy but very sincere dating sim where you can date a raptor, a Bigfoot, and a fairy. So that's all for us.
We also have some limited edition T-shirts.
Yes.
If you want to support us, they're for the end of
Book 3.
Book 3. They're just fantastic. Lindsay did a really great job. I just wanted to mention that before.
Yeah. They're
There's
limited
wrapping up.
edition, only available till August 27th.
There's one of DP facing off against DP and Barb facing off against Barb.
Yeah.
And
They're beautifully drawn and really fun. So
Yeah.
check those out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Black Lives Matter and trans rights are human rights.
Talk to you soon.
Yeah.